Hey y'all, and welcome to the Sorry Not Sorry Generation podcast, where we bring you a not so healthy dose of humor and reality as we get our hands dirty with some serious nostalgia and question everything.
Let's dive in.
Hey y'all,
Hey y'all,
it's Misty,
it's Ani.
and today we are doing fictional red flags, both in personality and just in tropes that you should probably just avoid. And by that, we do mean like fictional versus reality. Like there are fictional tropes that are great, but in reality, you would run and call the police.
For sure. Like, for example, to start off, both of our mutual favorite tropes is the enemies to lovers trope.
Absolutely.
If someone is that fucking mean to me in real life, there's no way I'm gonna fall in love with them.
Yeah.
I just fucking look at them and be like, you're an ass, goodbye.
I'm never gonna fall in love with somebody who I actively physically hated. Like, but however, it's like dark and mysterious and brooding in a book. In reality, it's just like, fuck you, fuck your
In
mom.
reality, it's
get out of my
you
face.
need therapy.
Yeah.
Go get some therapy and fix yourself.
And whether that applies to the person or to us who enjoy the enemies to lover trope, you'll never know. Yeah, no. No works.
Did you ever watch How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah.
So one wrote, if anyone believes that Lily from How I Met Your Mother is anything but insane, they are probably insane themselves.
I mean, that's valid. That's pretty valid. Especially, like, I was cool with Lily until she left Marshall and then came back and expected just to get back together with him without any
I forgot
issues.
about that.
Yeah,
Why
because
did
people
she
try
leave
to
Marshall?
because she wanted like things
Oh,
out
she
of
got her
life.
dream job, right?
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
she wanted things out of life and stuff like that. But like then she comes back and just expects everybody to be okay with the fact that she left Marshall, moved like to a different city, didn't really tell anybody, and like got really pissed off at Ted for calling her a bitch, and then got a bunch of other people involved. And I'm like, no, you were a bitch. You fucking broke this man's heart. Who
Was this
Marshall
before
is?
or after his dad died?
Oh, this is before.
Okay.
This is before his dad died. I believe they were married before his
Okay.
dad died. So, but
Okay.
but yeah, no, and it's just like, yeah, no, it's because you were a bitch, honey. Like, and Ted is a piece of crap. Like, Ted is a genuine.
Ted
piece of
is
shit.
useless. Ted is
Ted is
utterly useless.
Ted is an extremely useless human being, and like, God, we could just break down the entire relationships of How I Met Your Mother. Like, How I Met Your Mother, Lily is too flighty for my tastes. Like she's flighty and she's a bit fickle. But she also tries to kind of like hold a bunch of people's relationships up to her own, like what she wants out of life. Like she thinks other people should kind of want out of life. And like when she left Marshall, that was really a destructive part of her character, in all honesty.
It was,
I mean,
because she's
I
like,
know
because she got her dream job, right? And she's just
Mhm.
like, I'm leaving. Because Marshall's like, well, I have all my shit here. She's
Yeah.
like, now, remind me, did they have the kids by this point?
No, they
Okay.
didn't have kids until after they got married.
Okay.
So, no, it was just her. She just up and left one day. And, like, I get maybe part of it was to grow Lily's character and to define her outside of her relationship with Marshall, because she'd been in the relationship with Marshall, like, from episode 1. But it
This
was
one time in band camp? Yeah. Since that's how fucking long.
Yeah, and it's just so, like, it was really it was a very poor way to try and develop Lily's character as a whole, rather than just like involving maybe her family or like something like that. They just really destroyed her character with that one. Marshall, on the other hand, is a very sweet and kind person,
I
but
love Marshall.
would drive me nuts relationship wise. As a friend, no, like that's perfectly fine. In a relationship, he would kind of drive me nuts. So, because
I can see that.
it would get kind of old, and just there's it's a lot of jubilance in there, which is fine, but it feels like there would be an overall lack of genuine responsibility from him as a person that would drive me nuts, despite the fact that he's, like studying to be a lawyer and then becomes a lawyer. There's a little too much
Aloofness. I
Yeah,
get what you're saying.
there's a little too much just lack of seriousness. There has to be at least a baseline level of seriousness.
I gotcha.
you know. But and then Ted is just a fucking useless person, just from start to finish. Like I
The whole
don't
relationship with Ted and Robin is,
a disaster.
oh my god, why?
Like, okay, first
Why
of
why
all,
did the people push this to happen so bad when clearly it's not meant to be? Like, this
th-
is just not
they're
gonna fucking
such
happen.
different people. But okay, first of all, Ted Mosby is a background character at best. Like at best, he's a background character. He can't get his shit together to save his life. He blames a lot of his problems on other people. He can't seem to manage to think of anything about his life, with the exception of finding a wife and like finding the one. Like, you have to have a life outside of that. And all throughout the series in his career, he doesn't actually like do real architect things until like the last 2 seasons.
That's true. Isn't he also
Like,
like an adjunct professor or something?
yeah, and like because he couldn't fucking make it as an architect, he went and became a professor. So it's just like, okay, but then he goes back and actually builds a building, but he doesn't build a build. Like, I understand that actually having a building built, like even in the show when he had that building of his built, he was like one of the youngest architects to have a building created like ever or whatever. But it would have been nice to see him work on like small projects, or like, you know, like, oh well, I'm working on building like this house thing. All they ever did is every once in a while allude to the fact that, oh well, he designed a lobby like once a season maybe, like he might have done something, and I think even that was only like 2 or 3 times, you know. So he just doesn't seem to go anywhere, and he doesn't seem to take his job seriously at all. And then he goes and becomes a professor, which, you know, like,
Is
okay,
he
that's
qualified to be a professor? Did he take any
honestly, like,
credentials?
to be a university professor, you have to have a PhD. Like, you can't be a university professor with a master's degree. You have to have a PhD. You can go teach at a community college with a master's degree, but you can't teach at a university level without a PhD. And nowhere in there does it ever mention that Mosby has a PhD. So
I'm
I don't.
it might be different for different universities, because I remember when I was in New Orleans, my one English professor, well, English teacher, was
Yeah,
currently getting her master's degree.
or maybe like her second master's degree. You can't teach at a university level without a master's
You,
degree.
I'm pretty sure you can't get tenure or like full professor status, like, or full
You
time teacher,
can
but you might be able to do part time or like, um, what's the term I'm
you can be
looking
a
for?
teaching assistant.
No, not teacher's assistant. Like an actual, like you can have your own classes, but you can't. Like you won't be full time. You cannot get tenure. Like you could probably go for like a part time teacher like position.
I don't know. I've worked for 2 universities, and
I know you've
I
worked for
have
some.
not come across a single professor that has not had a PhD, or like the equivalent of that in their field. Like, there's a master's degree that's technically, you can go one step above like a master's degree, but it's still titled master's. I think it's Masters of Fine Arts is the
The
highest you can
MFA,
get.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like that's the highest you can get in that
Yeah,
category. So like you can
yeah.
have that and not have a PhD, and like that's because that's what you can get. But I imagine you could do that, but a professor that doesn't have at least one higher level degree like that, that would be very strange. Like maybe in a different field you could have it. Like I have one, like if I had one in history, but then I taught like something similar, like, you know, like archaeology or something like that, I could do that. But I've never come across a professor that doesn't at least have, like, I've like in community colleges, like my professors had master's degrees, but at a university level, I don't think I've ever come across one that doesn't have a PhD or an equivalent.
That's
So
fair.
I don't,
Yeah.
but I truly don't believe Ted Mosby is qualified to be a professor in
No,
any
he's
way, shape,
not.
or form.
He's not. He's useless. Now, Barney, walking red flag.
Huge red
Walking.
flag.
He's
Also
a
my favorite
walking,
character.
talking, breathing red flag, and I fucking love him.
How he doesn't have serious like transmitted diseases, I will never know. Like, he should have at least 5 at this rate, because like, wasn't it he'd slept with like,
Almost everyone in where are they?
no,
Chicago?
like there was an episode where
New York?
he had counted how many girls that he had slept with, right?
Let's see.
And I don't remember, like, I want to say it was 100 girls, but that seems way too small for Barney.
Let's see. So about
282 women.
there you go. It's about 300 women.
No, he should have many sexual diseases. Many sexual
Many.
diseases. Okay,
I,
I love Barney. So many red flags. Obviously, besides the sex addict that he is.
yeah. Yeah.
Because he's definitely that. Now I will give him credit that when he actually like, it's a red flag that he slept with over 200 women and he'd only had before Robin one actual relationship. Like that's kind of a huge red flag right there.
Commitment issues to the max.
Oh, so many commitment issues. Like, granted, he tried like really hard in his relationship with Robin, and like I'll give him credit for that. Um, and I think they were a much better couple than Robin and Ted. I think Robin and Ted
I
was
will
a
agree. I really
terrible
enjoyed
couple.
Robin and Barney together.
I did too. Like they're just so much more similar people to me. Like Robin doesn't like date a lot, but like on a different foundational level, they're very similar people
Yeah.
to me. And I think it's just a better. I was really I fucking hate the ending of that series. Like people hated it so much they had to record a second ending to that series.
They introduced the mother and like what the last season it's like
Yeah, like the last couple of episodes, and then they kill her off.
and yeah like what was the point, what was this like like 8 series long show
If
and we
you're
only met the mom the last couple of and she dies.
Yeah, and like also you and then at the very end Robin and Ted end up back together. Like are you kidding me? Also, uh like I like Robin a lot, but why did you date Ted and then Barney in your friend group? Like you shouldn't be dating all of the men in your friend group. Like if
No,
Marshall
that's just
hadn't
so
had like a committed girlfriend,
she'd probably be
like
dating Marshall too.
which would have been the worst relationship they've given her yet. But like why? You didn't need to do that. Like you really just didn't need to do that. Why did she have to keep getting put in a relationship with other people? Also, I really don't like the writers for the later seasons
Yeah.
because like Robin found out she couldn't have kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
She'd adamantly stated she didn't want kids through like pretty much all the seasons. It was one of the big issues that her and Ted had. It was the issue reason that she broke up with that psychiatrist dude at one point is because she didn't want kids at all and he did. Okay, and then like she finds out that she can't have kids and they make it like a world-ending thing for her despite the fact that she adamantly stated she didn't want them. I understand that finding out that you can't have kids can be very devastating to people, but to someone a lot of her character was based around the idea that she didn't want one, an entire season of a
Yeah.
relationship that was ended because she didn't want kids, and then you make it this thing that it shouldn't really have been to her.
Yeah. Like I understand like having that choice taken away from you when someone tells you like you cannot physically
Yeah.
bear children. Like it is devastating. Like even if I don't want kids, which I do not want kids. I don't know how I'd feel if someone told me like if a doctor told me that I can't bear them.
Yeah.
I think I'd just be like, "All right, I'll go
Yeah.
adopt." Cuz pregnancy
Yeah.
itself scares me, so fine, I'll just go adopt a kid. I get rid of the whole process in one go.
And there's also surrogacy too. Like
That too.
that's a thing. But I mean, I've been told that it would be extremely hard for me to have children and I'm like, "Okay, good. Yeah, thanks." Like, ooh. Like, okay. And like I remember
Cool
the
beans,
doctor
bruh.
looking at me, like so the doctor looked at me and she was like kind of worried as she told me that and I'm just like, "You couldn't tell that to a more happy person. Trust me." And I'm like, "Good God, okay." And but like I just feel like it was a poor choice because they then turned this person who not only had she spent so much time stating that she didn't want kids and that she didn't want these things, but they made it a pivotal part of her character that she suddenly couldn't have children. And it's just like, but you literally broke up her and a long-term boyfriend that was in a healthy relationship with
Mhm.
her, possibly the most healthy relationship she'd had, because she didn't want children, and now you're making it a world-ending thing for her, which doesn't make so much sense to me. It's like taking a 180 with her character. It's like because now you're taking this person and redefining her entirely on whether or not she can have kids, and that's a really shitty deal to do to Robin.
Yeah.
Like that was a really shitty way to handle her character. I mean, none of the people none of the characters in How I Met Your Mother are good. Like
No, they're
they're all
not.
pretty shitty all the way around. Just like the people, like kind of like the people in Seinfeld. Like they're
I
all
never watched
pretty shitty
Seinfeld.
people. They're pretty shitty people. And it's just like the ones in How I Met Your Mother are arguably a step up from the people in Seinfeld. Because I mean, to be fair, none of the people in How I Met Your Mother ended the show in jail. So,
Okay.
and all of the
Now,
ones in Seinfeld end up in jail. So,
How I Met Your Mother is an offshoot of Friends. If you like, do you like Friends?
I do.
Okay, so you do like Friends. I'm mixing it up because I know some people who really cannot stand it, and I'm just like, well, I like it.
I like Friends. Yeah. Do I absolutely agree that there's some really shitty things and people and
Oh
relationships in that one?
yes,
Well,
Ross
yes.
and Rachel should never have been a thing.
No. No, they should not. They should not have been a thing. They should definitely not have ended up together. I will always be salty about the fact that she gave up her dream job for this man. And yeah, she gave up her dream job in Paris. She literally built herself from the ground up.
Uh
And in
huh.
the last 5 minutes of that episode, she throws away however
All
many seasons worth of Friends there are for Ross. For fucking Ross.
like
Girl.
you guys have so many issues together. Why?
Like, you're together, you're not together, you're together, you're not together. And I will take a controversial stance and say that Ross, when they were on a break, sleeping with that woman, does not count for cheating. You guys broke up. You guys actually just fucking broke up. Like, we were on a break. That means getting away from each other, doing non-relationshipy things, and with the possibility of one day getting back together. That's you breaking up.
You
You broke
breaking up?
up.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that taking a break means you are breaking up for like a limited time.
Like, could he have waited more than like 4 hours?
Yes.
Sure. Absolutely. Like, damn. But like, no, you were not together. You were not together at that point. Like, yeah, he went out after you guys broke up. And like, would I be pissed that he slept with somebody literally within hours of break? Yeah. I'd be kind of pissed off at that, but I'd be kind of pissed off at that in the general overall arcing of the breaking up that you did because you
hmm
broke up with this man. So I
Yeah.
don't blame him for that. Like, that was
Honestly, I
something
feel like Rachel and Joey would have made a better couple.
I liked that couple. Like,
I love Joey.
I don't think it would have worked in like the long run,
It would have
but
lurked.
Ross would have lurked.
Yeah.
But like, I genuinely don't think Ross and Rachel is a healthy relationship. But I also don't think that Joey and Rachel would have worked in the long term. I think it would have been good for Rachel to have that relationship last longer and see what it means to have somebody treat her
Right.
well
Yeah.
rather than like the shitty
Shit.
way that Ross treated her. Also, Ross was super controlling, like
Oh my god.
real controlling, and
He's
like he
anal
would,
retentive. I can't do it.
yeah, like he was super controlling, and he wanted to like control. Like he had got so weird about that coworker of hers, Mike or what,
Oh
Matt or
yeah.
whatever his name was. Like he got so weird and controlling about that relationship, and it's just like about like her friendship with this dude, or the fact that she just knew this guy, and it's just like, and it's just like, you need to relax, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, no, I think that was a bad relationship. I don't have any issues really. I think with Monica and Chandler, I think that was a pretty solid relationship. The
I
most
like.
solid.
I love Chandler. He is my favorite
Mm-hmm.
because of how smarmy he is. How he treated her in the beginning, like when they were all younger,
Yeah,
was shitty because she was
mhm.
bigger. Because
That's very
even
true. Like
even
when they were
then,
when they were
everyone,
young, yeah,
yeah, everyone at
yeah,
that time, even now, fat phobic. But like,
that's true. Yeah, he was pretty shitty. Like when they were younger, I'll give you that. That would definitely bother me.
he
Like
never. I don't think he ever saw her as like girlfriend as like girlfriend material. Not
yeah,
because she was big, but it was his best friend's little sister.
yeah, and that's weird to date your friend's sibling. Like that's
Yeah,
weird.
so like as they get older, they mature.
Yeah,
Now
and they
he
become
matures,
friends in
and
their own right. Like
yeah,
so I definitely get that because that would have, especially at the time when they first met, he was in college and she was in high school. So like it really
yeah.
would have been weird. So Like, so I
I
get why, like,
like
it didn't develop until they became friends later.
that is probably the closest thing to enemies to lovers in real life that would probably work.
Yeah. Like, and because, like, there's so many problems with like enemies to lovers in a novel. I fucking love. It's my favorite trope.
Well,
But
it's because we
because
have the omniscient narrator, and
yeah,
it tells us like, oh, they see this, they do that, so we know all the background, we know how everyone's feeling, we know what everyone's thinking,
but
so
like
we
at the
can do
same
it.
time, like it's a book.
Yeah, it's a
The
book.
point is there's a couple in it, and this is the end couple, but you know that going in, like they introduce the lead girl and then they introduce this guy, and like
You know it's gonna be endgame. You know
yeah,
it's gonna be endgame
going in. Yeah,
couple.
like it doesn't even apply just to books. You watch movies, you watch TV shows, like whatever. Like you go in understanding that these guys should be a couple at the end of it, and like that's how it's going to work. So like you have that understanding of like that's where their destinies lie.
Yeah.
However, in reality, like if someone treated me the way any of the fictional like enemies to lovers shit that I read, I would either punch someone in the face, call the cops, or be digging a hole in my backyard. Like, because that's the way that shit would go, because you don't get to treat me like a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
And then like let's take one of my favorite relationships that is not canon is Draco and Hermione.
Okay.
Okay? Fucking love Hermione. I've read so many enemies to lovers fan fictions of Hermione. Now, that is 150,000% a toxic red flag relationship. No, absolutely not. Because this
You
man,
call me a racial slur and I'm gonna fall in love with you?
like,
Absolutely not.
absolutely not. Any and all potential romance died right there. Absolutely. There is no recovering from that. He can grow and be a better person. He can decide like that those are not his views anymore. Cuz like you know what, at 13 you're really influenced by like the things that your parents say and do, and it might take you a little while to like develop your own sense of identity and understanding
Right.
what's right and wrong, rather than the shit that like your family's been like shoving down your throat or whatever. People develop like that, especially in their teenage years. Like some people move away from like religion or like other like concepts like that. Now granted, nobody should be holding prejudiced against anybody on any kind of sort, but like it's that around that age that you start to develop your own ideas of these things.
Right,
And
because
like
your brain starts to develop. You're introduced to more societal stuff, and you
yeah,
start to question things. So you're just like, this doesn't jive with
yeah,
me.
because like as a kid, and then you grow up being presented to the world in which your parents show you, and the things that they show you and how they show you and what they talk to you about and what they tell you. But as you get older, you start being exposed to other parts of the world that they might not necessarily show to you, and ideas and ideologies, especially when you go to school. Like you get exposed to all of these different things, and you learn and you grow and you develop on your own. So like Draco was at an age where he might have just been beginning that shift of understanding, like, hey, this isn't a good thing, after, especially considering his father, who his father is. Lucius Malfoy shoved that shit down his throat at
Oh
every given
yeah,
opportunity. So, like, it can be hard to break away from those kind of things. But the second Draco Malfoy called Hermione a slur, no, that's just over. That's
it's
just fucking
over.
over before it began. Like there is no extra anything. There is no beyond anything. That is over. That's just it. He is a 12-year-old kid because it was the second movie, right? That he called her
Yeah,
in the second one. Yeah, I don't care that he's a 12-year-old kid. Like no, that is over. 150%. That like no matter what kind of person he becomes in the future, like
it's
no.
over.
Like just that is over. That is ended right there. You don't need any more excuses. You don't need anything else. That is over.
People have a big issue with Resand from Akatar.
Yeah.
Um, I do not. I don't have any issues with Resand. Um, he is the ultimate Bay. I mean, Castian is my Bay, but Resand is the ultimate. Everyone should aspire to be Resand. A lot of people have an issue with him because he lies. Like he doesn't tell Farah a lot of stuff. Like when he spoiler alert, so cover your ears or skip if you don't want to hear this. There's a part where he tells Farah or he has Farah go into this witch's cottage to get a ring that was his mother's. All right?
Okay.
But the witch is like, you can't take shit from her, otherwise she'll kill you. And Farah barely makes it out of there, but she gets the ring. Couple books later, or like whatever, like later on, he tells her, like, oh yeah, this is my wedding ring to you, because like
He made
so
her
like
go get her own wedding ring?
yeah.
What? The
there's
fuck?
another there's another thing where at the end of the first book, where she beats Amarantha. Well, she beats the task that Amarantha had given her to, like, because Amarantha had taken over under the mountain court, and like that's why everyone has like the mask glued on their faces. They can't take it off, whatever. Everyone's stuck there, and she's ruling them, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's like, all right, human, go through these tasks, and if you win, I'll set everyone free. She does. She kills Amarantha, but like right after she wins and like beats this massive worm thing,
Mm-hmm.
she dies basically. And as she's laying there bleeding out, dying, Rhysand realizes that this is his mate. He doesn't tell her that she is his mate until the fourth fucking book. Now I understand why Rhysand did that, because he didn't want to like tell her that, hey, we're mated to be together, so she feels pressured. He wanted her to figure it out and fall in love with him on his own and accept it on her own.
Yeah.
I get that. But I
But
also
wouldn't that,
understand
like,
why everyone has an issue with it.
but like, if that information got out, wouldn't people target her because of him?
Not many people knew. Like, he knew because he felt it.
But like, if people did know, wouldn't that make her like a huge target?
Target? Oh, yeah. Like, she's already a target because Rhysand is interested in her. Because Rhysand's a target. And then once she starts to become closer and closer with him, she is a target. She becomes High Lady. She's a target. She's always a fucking target.
I hate the lack of communication trope.
That's the thing. The lack of communication. Like, Farah has to snag/capture the cereal, who we all love the cereal because she has all the tea. And like the cereal is more like, there are so many memes where it's like the cereal is just like Fair catches her and she's like, all right, give me information, and the cereal is just like, hi, hello, how are you? Like, you could have just called for me.
This name or word that you're saying sounds like cereal, like Captain Crunch. And is
No.
that what you're saying?
Cereal or whatever. It's
Cereal.
Suriel.
Okay, so not Captain Crunch.
Not
That's
Captain Crunch. No. So the cereal, like, if you capture a cereal, you can get information out of them. Like, they'll have to tell you whatever you want.
Okay.
So she captures the cereal 3 times, and the cereal's just like, hi, you didn't have to capture me. Because like, the cereal likes her, but the third time she captures her, she tells Farah that, oh yeah, you didn't figure it out yet? Like, your mates. She's like, I'm sorry, what?
That's like, I'm kind of glad I haven't read this series now.
Did
And
you
like,
ever read, sorry, the Cruel Prince by Holly Black, that series?
let me Google what the cover looks like. I read the first one, I think. This one takes
the girl's
place in
name
the
was,
world of the Fae, right?
yes. Jude is the girl. She's like the human that's living with them, and Carden is the Fae Prince.
Uh-huh.
Carden is
That was
such a dick to her.
That was such a bad book. That was a bad book. I'm
I
gonna be
can't wait
honest with you.
Erin to hear you say that.
Oh, that was a shit book. Okay, I have a lot of opinions on books set in the Fae, like in the world of the Fae, whether it's
Okay.
Underhill, in the courts, like just in the world of the Fae in general. I have a lot of opinions on it. Okay,
Seelie versus unseelie, yeah.
yeah, like I have a significant amount of opinions on it. I love like reading like lore on like the Fae and things like that. You know, like my very Irish heritage comes into play of like and I just have spent a lot of my youth reading about the Fae and like learning about it and everything. However, there are very few books that I actually enjoy that have the Fae in it.
Okay.
Mostly for a couple of reasons. Sometimes there's usually one of 3 ways people go. One, they don't branch past like base level fae, and they don't really take into consideration that there are so many different types of fae. Like, it's just not people who look like elves and stuff like that. Like, that's just not how that works. Then there's the people who just take Midsummer Night's Dream and roll with it and consider that is the world of the fae. And it's just like,
There's so much
okay,
more than Midsummer
like,
Night's Dream.
I hate to break it to people, but the Mists of Ireland existed well before the Bard. So, like, that's just kind of how that worked. And then there are the people who, like, the much fewer people who incorporate lots of different types of fae and, like, expand beyond the courts or might not even use them at all. And, like, and then there's that. And that's the genre area of this that I prefer. However, not a lot of people venture into that in its entirety. It doesn't even need to be set necessarily in the world of the Fae, but if you're going to include Fae, you should be including things beyond the courts, and you should be including, because at that point it's not really Fae mythology, it's Midsummer Night Dream mythology, is what it is. So, like, it's, you might be because, like, even Midsummer Night Dream doesn't really branch very deeply into the different types of Fae, and it's just like, okay, so that's technically like a subgenre of, like, the world of the Fae in and of itself. But
there's so much to learn about the Fae.
There's so many different types and so many different kinds, and, like, the rules, and then, like, the world that they live in, and then, like, there's Underhill, and then there's, like, other aspects of it and stuff like that, and then there's just a lot. Like, I've read the Patricia Briggs Mercy Thompson series includes Fae and includes a shit ton of different Fae, but it doesn't take place in, like, the world of the Fae. It takes place in our world, with the assumption that all of these mythical magical creatures are real. They've just been kind of, like, hiding and everything, but modern technology has gotten to the point where it makes hiding extremely difficult. So in the 70s,
urban fantasy,
yeah, like, in the 70s, the Fae came out as in the fact that they existed, but she does such a good job of introducing the different types of Fae and, like, how they work and what they do, and, like, just pulling from, like, all these different things that's not court related. Now, there's still, like, a hierarchy of Fae, as there's, like, lesser Fae and stuff like that, and there's, like, she calls them, like, the Grey Lords that have, like, all the super, like, I can cause a hurricane kind of power.
Okay.
You know, like, but she incorporates the many different types of Fae, which is something I really, really enjoy. I think I might enjoy it less if it was set in the world of the Fae, because then you're eventually going to start having to make up your own shit, and because there's no way you can know everything,
Yeah.
you know, about like a type of mythology, you know. And, like, so far the things that she's made up, I've enjoyed, because she doesn't go super wild with them. She bases it off of something, you know, like, but there aren't courts in her world and stuff like that.
Nora Roberts is really good with that too. Like,
Yeah.
she is, everything with her is some kind of Ireland fairy based story.
Yeah.
Some of them will be in Ireland, some of them will be in, like, the States. I don't fucking know, but, like, there's some kind of magic involved in everything she writes, and she does such a good job with it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like her, like, I haven't read them, but, like, I don't want to read her just your typical girl next door moves,
Yeah.
moves to a new town, falls in love with a local contractor. I don't give a shit. Throw in some magic in there and I'm in love.
Yeah, the same here. That's one of the reasons I like high fantasy, but I really enjoy urban fantasy, because I like the combination of, like, reality with mixing it in with this realistic version of fantasy. Like, mostly just because you like the idea of, like, that, you know, magic might exist in some way. But, like, I can't stand a lot of Fae books. Now, The Cruel Prince was a shitty book from start to finish.
I read all three.
I only read the first one, and it was such a popular series, and I had such high hopes for it, and I'm like, oh, there are no redeemable qualities for the prince at all.
Did you ever read her other series, the one before that one? Tithe, Ironside, and something else?
I don't really like Holly Black's books, so probably not.
It's got the wings on the front cover. Tithe.
Oh, I think I know which book you're talking about. Yeah, I hated that book. That was so bad.
I love that book. Granted, I read it when I was like 16, 17.
Oh, I hated that book. God damn. Whew. I remember reading it. I bought it because it was a signed copy. I remember that. And I had such high hopes for it because that was like my
I
fairy
enjoyed it at the time. Looking back on it, I'm just like, that main like boy Faye character, forgot his
piece
name.
of garbage.
Oh, he was an ass.
He's
He
such
was
a
such
piece of
an ass.
garbage. Yeah, he was a horrible piece of garbage. Now, okay, the cruel prince. The prince is there's no redeeming factors. There's none. There are no redeeming qualities of this man. He is from start to finish a piece of trash. Now, like with Draco Malfoy, I can make the argument that he's redeemable because the shit that he was raised with, it's things that he was raised with. He has shown the
It's
potential.
brainwashing.
Yeah, but he's shown the potential for redemption. Like especially in the 7th book, like well in the 6th book he was, like he didn't want to do the things that he's doing, but they were literally holding his family hostage basically.
Right.
And like it was a lot of brainwashing and things like that, but in the 7th like book, like at one point he lied for Harry despite knowing what would happen to him if he did, and said that he didn't know who that was and he didn't think it was Harry. And then he gave Harry his wand to fight Voldemort with. Like he's shown signs of potential redemption. The prince from the Cruel Prince is literally just a cruel prince. He's a cruel fucking person with no redeemable qualities. I am sorry, Erin, if you really like this series. I fucking hated it. He was a piece of garbage person. Like normally I kind of like the the macho kind of an asshole like kind of thing, like in my fantasy books, not in my other type of books. Just it's only acceptable in fantasy
Only
books.
in fantasy.
But like he wasn't like this like macho like kind of an asshole dude. No, he was just a straight bully. Like they actively bully these girls. Like they try to kill them basically at one point with that river.
I remember that. Like his one friend went to like he chased her up. He chased Jude up the tower and like brought out a knife and like was about to kill her.
Yeah, and then like there's
Why?
that whole thing with like the river and all that shit too, and I'm just like, okay, but also like their dad's a complete piece of garbage too. Like he murdered their mother.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay,
You're coming back to the Fey world with me. Why?
Like you don't want them there, so why? And then like they live in this terrible society, and then like they get wrapped like, oh my god, everything about that book was bad. I don't even like the lead chick. She was a bitch.
Yeah,
And
I had a hard time with Jude.
I didn't like her at all. And like now like at the very last second she tricks this guy like into being like the next king, or like however that works, and like he's now in servitude to her.
Yeah, she's holding it over him,
which is equally as terrible to me as all of the bullying that he did to her. Now, granted, you're making a relationship of two of the most toxic fictional people possible and putting them together, which, good, because then they can't go out and be toxic with other people. But, like, at the
just
same
to each
time,
other.
just confine that level of toxicity into just one relationship. That's great, because then they're not, like, poisoning other people in the process. But I'm just like, he has no redeemable qualities. And she doesn't really have that many either. So, like, okay, you're all just garbage people. But I've tried to read a couple of different Holly Black books. That is my general opinion of all of her books. I don't like any of the ones I've read. I have never read a Holly Black book I actually enjoyed. So, no offense to Holly Black, just especially the way she writes her men really pissed me off. So,
especially the way she writes her men.
I do not like the men that she writes. Like, I have actively tried, and I do not like the men that she writes. So it's just like, okay, sorry, but no. And as much as I enjoy enemies to lovers, that is not something. That is a huge. If this person has been your enemy at any given point, he is not your true love. Like, they are not your soulmate or whatever they might be. You're like the other half of your soul, in the way that this is the exact opposite, and that this person is entirely evil. Sure. I so much enjoy hero villain relationships. I fucking love. You spend some time on Pinterest looking at villain, like villain X hero stuff. fucking love it. I absolutely love it. Anybody who hasn't looked that up on like Tumblr or Pinterest should just spend some time. It's fucking amazing, especially because it does it like superheroes and supervillains, but it's
Uh-huh.
generic. It's like hero and villain, like they don't give them names and shit like that. I fucking love it. I absolutely fucking love it. Mostly because I love the villains, and I like the villains getting recognition for like the decent shit that they do, especially, and a lot of times heroes, like their worlds, um like the people around them and like the societies and things like that are usually pretty toxic, in all
Oh
honesty.
yeah.
Like super fucking toxic. And then like the villain comes along and it's just like that's supposed to be the bad guy. He has a
That's
healthier
supposed to be
work
the bad guy.
environment than you do. Like the guy trying to take over the world has a healthier work environment than you do. So like because let me tell you, like, yeah, no, I would work for Loki before I would work for Shield. So like, and
Yeah,
not
I'd
just
work for
because
Loki.
Shield is full of like Hydra agents and stuff like that, but I believe Shield probably gives you an like an annual 3 days off with you have to be on call contingency, and I bet Loki gives really good healthcare benefits. So
Probably. He's like, I'd rather keep my people alive rather than, having to go find new ones.
yeah, because you have to understand the point of loyalty, and for some fucking reason, villains seem to understand the point of loyalty better than most heroes do, and it's just like, yeah, you want to keep your people around, you don't want to get betrayed, you fucking treat them well.
All right.
It's like I would default if I lived in a world with superheroes and I was a superhero, I would trade sides really fast. The first time a villain offered me a paycheck, I'd be like, sure.
Where do I sign up to join your team?
Because they weren't fucking paying like they didn't pay Spider-Man for shit. You
No.
don't see him going around like I can't imagine Black Widow gets paid very well. I like I didn't see nobody paying Captain America shit. But
No.
I bet you if I went to work for Loki, he'd be like, "Here's your lovely payroll packaging with
Right?
all of your
Here's your
benefits."
lump sum of treasure
Yeah. It's like,
that
here's your
you get
sign-on
monthly.
bonus. This is how much you get. This is you accumulate like vacation time really well. Like here's all of your like insurance and all that. And it's just
Asgard
like
has great health insurance, health
hazard
care.
pay. Like shit. Like, you know what? Yeah. The first time a villain offered me, it's just like, you should come work for me. Here's like $1 million. Be like, okay. What do you need? Like, nobody should ever put me in a position of holding state secrets. So, mostly, especially for the United States, because I fully believe the United States is one of the world's top like 5 villains. So
Yes, they are. They are. And we
I
live
would be
here.
like, okay. So,
Now,
but you know,
another question for you. Did you ever watch American Horror Story?
no,
At least the first season. Okay.
no.
Because the character in there, in the
Mhm.
first one, Tate is a mass school shooter.
What?
Yes, he is a school shooter. Like, that's what, like, he's dead. He died after shooting a bunch of kids at his school. And people fall in love with him.
That's fucking insane.
I know. Like, because he presents himself as like this, I'm fucked up, you deserve better than me, blah, blah, blah. And the girls are like, oh, I can fix him. No,
No, you can't.
no.
No, you can't.
He went to school in like skeleton makeup, brought out his big ass rifle, and just shot everyone up.
Yeah, that's no. There's no character redemption arc for that.
No, and
No.
everyone loves Tate. I want to say it's because it's Evan Peters. Everyone falls in love with Evan Peters because A, he's a great actor, and B, he's cute.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, "Oh, it's fine." I'm like, "No, no, not a single one of Evan Peters' characters in American Horror Story are redeemable. Not a single one."
Well, that's good to know. I did not know that. I remember J.K. Rowling once mentioning that she couldn't understand why people loved Draco Malfoy. Like he on paper should be like an irredeemable person, and she blamed that on Tom Felton. And I'm like, to an extent, I understand that because like you gotta love Tom Felton, and so like you kind of. I didn't like Draco as much as I did before I saw the movies. And then like you get to like him because like you like Tom Felton and everything like that. So like I understand how in those cases like the influence of the actor can,
Mm-hmm.
like affect how people feel about the character. Because on paper, yeah, terrible, just fucking terrible from start to finish. But you get the influence of like an actor, especially one that you've seen in other things, and you like, you like them for that. Now I'm going to give you a relationship, fictional relationship trope, and you have to tell me whether or not this would be acceptable to you in the real world.
Okay, hit me.
Okay? The fake pretend relationship trope.
Oh God, no, I hate it. Can't do it.
How do you feel about it in your fiction?
In my fiction, I like it. Like
Yeah.
there was Did you ever watch the show To All the Boys I Loved Before?
I didn't. I heard a lot about it.
Okay, so basically this girl finds a bunch of letters that she had written to
Mm-hmm.
her crushes. But like she never sent them out. She just wrote them out, like wrote her thoughts out, put it in an envelope, put it in a box, and put it away.
Yeah.
Her younger sister finds it and is like, "Ooh, I'm gonna cause some drama," and sends it out to all the people that she wrote them to.
Okay, first of all, as you're writing these things, how do you know all of the addresses for these boys?
Cause
That's
she
weird.
literally wrote them all out, put them in an envelope, put their name, their address, everything, as if she was gonna send it out, but never did.
How did she know the addresses of these boys, you stalker person? I'm sorry.
Like two
How
of
would you
them,
do that? How
one
would you
of
find
them.
their addresses?
Here's a fun thing. One of them was her older sister's boyfriend at the time, and then they broke up because her older sister moved away to college.
Ugh.
Another one she goes to school with. One of them, in I think the second one, she met when she was like in camp.
Okay.
So it's like in the first one, the two letters go out, right? The one to the sister's ex-boyfriend and the one to the guy in her class.
Yeah.
And she sees her sister's ex-boyfriend walking towards her at school, and
Mhm.
she grabs the other guy and like makes out with him. Like she tackles him, she's like, "Kiss me." He's like, "What the fuck? Should I just do it?" And so like they make a contract to like pretend to date each other,
Mhm.
because like he was dating her ex best friend. So they make this contract like so he can get back at her at his ex, and she can pretend like she's not available, so her sister's ex-boyfriend can just forget about it. Like there's nothing here for you. There's no feelings.
How do
They
you
pretend,
explain the letters away?
bruh, it's a lot of drama. And so they have this pretend relationship.
Mhm.
And I think it's cute because they do start to feel things for each other, and it works out
Yeah.
for them in the end.
Yeah.
If that happened to me in real life, if someone's like, "Hey, why don't you and I pretend to be dating so I can get back at someone else?" It's like, "No, I'm not your toy. I'm not your tool. This is
And that's
no."
so
Because
fucking petty.
forget the petty. I'm okay with the petty part. For me, it's if we pretend, if we start pretending to do this and we start doing datey things, cutesy relationship things, I'm gonna start having feelings. I know I am. I know myself.
Yeah.
It
There
wouldn't
is
happen
no
unless
universe in
it
which
was
fake dating doesn't lead to real feelings.
I couldn't, because again, I know myself. I would start catching feelings and I'd be like, "Fuck, now I'm fucked."
Yeah, like no, there's no world, there's no universe in which fake dating doesn't lead to real feelings. Like that's just all there is to it. I enjoy like a fake dating like trope in my fiction
Mm-hmm,
in some aspects. I prefer it in my fan fiction than I
mm-hmm.
do my regular fiction because in fan fiction it's just a nice like alternate universe, but I don't like it usually as the main relationship
I
thing
gotcha.
because it's usually so ridiculous because usually there are so many options to get to before you have to get into a situation where like let's pretend we're fake dating because usually the situations are so fucking ridiculous that it
Yeah.
just doesn't make any sense for a plot. But for like a fan fiction you can kind of forgive that kind of stuff. So
All right. I have a character for you, and I want you to tell me
okay.
your thoughts.
Okay.
Everyone loves him.
Okay.
Almost everyone. Mr. Darcy.
Oh god, no, he's a piece of garbage. No, that is a very toxic man. That's a toxic ass man.
There's this article
First
that
of all,
says a well-adjusted man doesn't fall ardently in love with you after calling you ugly an hour before.
okay, like, first of all, no concept of the real world. None. He seems flabbergasted at the idea that people have to, like, they just don't have money. He just doesn't seem to understand the concept that people who don't have money exist. Like it seems to him like that's just like if I was to try and convince him that the sky was green while we're outside on a clear day. Like he just doesn't see, like he seems like that would be like a unicorn to him, of like that is a like a fake thing only off in the world somewhere that isn't real. So like, but also he says a bunch of shit about her, like a lot of shit about her, and then he's just like, oh, we should get married, and he expects her to be cool with that. Why? Because I don't know, he's a man in a time period where that matters, or he's rich, or he just assumes that he's going to get spoon fed everything he wants because of who he is and what he is. And it's just like, you are a garbage person. You are a garbage, toxic, entitled asshole who doesn't understand why telling someone that they're ugly or they're this, that, and the other thing is a bad thing, and that why, and then gets confused as to why, like, then she's not interested in him. It's like, well, okay, but you took any interest that she had, you lit it on fire, okay, and in the ashes of what remains, you're expecting a bonfire to start. And when you can explain to me how you're going to light a bonfire in a bunch of ashes, then we'll talk.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, he's a garbage person. Garbage person. Okay. I will give you one.
Okay.
I'm going to give you another relationship trope, and you can tell me what you think of that. The arranged marriage trope. Now you got to tell me how you feel about it in your fiction versus how you feel about it in like reality.
See, in
And
reality, I am so against it in reality. Like, absolutely not. Do not come up to me. I have told my parents many times growing up, I'm just like, if you ever come to me and be like, so and so son, we're going to their house for dinner. Why? You guys are gonna get married. No. I don't know what they look like. I don't know how they look. I don't know how they smell. I don't know how they act. I don't know what they're.
I don't know how they smell.
I don't know what their values are.
It's so valid. What if he smells weird?
I have met people that as soon as I get close to them, they smell like garbage to me, and I'm just like, absolutely not.
That's
and
fair.
I remember reading somewhere that it's nature. It's
Mm.
like your natural pheromones were telling you like this is not someone you ever want to procreate with.
That's fair. That's valid.
Because just like there's one person that I know that someone else knows that to the other person, this one person smells like utter garbage.
Okay.
To me, I smell absolutely nothing. Like there's just no scent at all.
Yeah.
There's someone else that I know that when I walk up to them,
Yeah.
they smell like they haven't showered in a month and they've been sleeping out in the humidity for like 7 weeks.
Ew.
That's how they smell to me. To someone else, they smell fine.
Mhm.
So you cannot come up to me and be like, you're gonna marry this person. Like, what if they smell like shit to me? Like, sorry. But no, I refuse. I cannot do arranged marriages. In books, it's hit or miss.
That's
It is
fair.
hit or miss with in books because
It has to be specific settings.
yes, it has to be a specific setting, and it depends on the characters too. Like if I know the characters
Mm-hmm.
and I know their values and I know what kind of people they are,
Yeah.
I can gauge and see if they're gonna actually work on this as like, okay, this was forced upon us, but let's give it a shot. Like you're a person,
You
I'm a
can
person.
judge their compatibility a lot
Exactly.
easier. Yeah.
Exactly. Not in real life. Absolutely fucking not.
That's fair.
No.
I definitely agree with that. Like there's a lot of specific settings. Like now if we're talking like fictional settings, it has to be high fantasy. Like it has to be like high fantasy, like arranged marriages for like political purposes or like whatever, and not just like like, oh yeah, I you're 18 now or whatever, I married you off to somebody. Like, no. In reality, I think the acceptability of it depends on the culture that it's taking place in. Like there are a lot of cultures that have it just as a very, very common thing. And as long as both parties are accepting, that's fine. But it's all contingent on whether or not both of the people who are getting married agree. If both of them agree, you do you. Like, I don't really care.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, but in a lot of cultures, like India, for example, it is far more common over there than it is here. And it's, if both people agree to it, that's fine. An arranged marriage where you don't have any say in it, I don't agree with that in reality or in fiction.
See, even in fiction and reality, when there's an arranged marriage for political purposes, there's no say in that. It's like you're
Yeah,
getting married to them
exactly.
because we have an alliance. It's like I
Yeah,
don't care.
I don't agree to arranged marriages for political purposes. Certainly, like arranged. I was reading online the other day, and this woman who does not live here in the United States, she lives in another country. Her country has matchmaking arranged marriage services that you can go and like you put in all of your information and they find potential matches for you based on your education, your job, your income, your family, and like all of this stuff.
Preferences.
Yeah, and like they find these
There
people
is
and
a
you.
TV show like Indian matchmaking, so
Yeah. And like they go through this process and she said it's a really common thing. And her sister had done it directly out of high school.
mhm.
And that she had, she didn't have a college education or anything like that. So she was matched with a person like of the level in which she had and which was like lower middle class according to this woman. But this chick went on to get like her upper level graduate degree and like she had her own like successful like I don't know lawyer job or some shit like that. She was matched with a for lack of a better word, higher quality person. And
Yeah.
her sister was really mad that like she got matched with this person who's like made way less money than the person her sister got matched with and everything like that.
Yeah.
So like but they both willingly got themselves involved in arranged marriages this way. So like that to me is no big deal because you're willingly like entering
If you
into
willingly put
something.
yourself into that situation, fine. But if it's more like if someone walks up to you and be like, "Here's wedding papers," it's like, who, what, when, where, how, why?
Yeah. Like in reality, like I'm gonna set a scenario. If my father appeared and it
It's
was
already
just
a great
like
story.
so and so long ago I arranged a marriage for you, I would close the door and that would be the end of that because I wouldn't
I
care
don't
whether or
think
not
you'd let your father open his mouth
I would have I would
before you
have to
slam the
let him
door.
open his mouth because my first question would be like, who are you? And then he would have to tell me who he is. Because I guarantee you I wouldn't recognize him if he showed up at my door. So, like, the last time I saw a picture of him was a couple years ago, and I was just like, who is that? And I was like, oh, that's weird. Um, but it would be a very weird thing, and I would be like, obviously not. Like, no, I wouldn't care if I'd have to leave the fucking country to get out of whatever weird legality shit was going on with it. Like, I'm also pretty sure the United States doesn't honor that kind of shit here. But I would have to be like, no, no, a hell fucking no. Like, and unless you introduce me to a person who's a billionaire, the answer is no. But also, why would a billionaire enter into a really arranged marriage with me?
That's
Like
true.
it's just like no, that's not how it's gonna work. The only acceptable arranged marriage I would enter into is if it was with a billionaire who wanted nothing to do with me at any point, but was at the same time willing to marry me and let me have a bunch of his money. So as long as I
So
never
either
had
your
to see
billionaire
him,
has to be asexual or gay.
there
Because
you go.
that's the only way that arranged marriage would work for you.
Fully willing to be a fake wife to a billionaire gay guy who's trying to hide it from his family.
So would I.
100%.
So would I.
100%. But I need confirmation that you, in fact, are not straight. And this isn't some weird, like, trick ploy bullshit. Like, let me meet your
Yeah.
boyfriend. Like, there you go. Like,
It's like we are married, you are gay, I am straight, it's fine. We like our ritual is to watch shit TV together at nighttime. During the day, I work, you go fuck who you want, and I do what I want.
yep.
Like,
And
it's
it's just
fine.
like, if we need to keep a masquerade up for, like, your family or your business people who don't approve of that kind of stuff, like, sure, 100% do that for you. I got no issues doing that. But you have to give me access to your money.
Yeah. You
'Cause,
have to
like,
give me an ATM card.
like because if we gonna and also in the divorce clause it like I don't need like half of everything you have. I just need a set amount of money determining that should we get a divorce, no, for whatever the reason, I get a set amount of money no questions asked, no holds barred. Like, I don't need half, but I do need a certain amount. So, like, that
Oh, I'll
doesn't
take
bother me.
half. I will
Well, you
take
know,
half.
like,
You can keep they can keep the cars, the house, whatever. You give me half of that money, and I can do whatever the hell I want with that money.
just give me the paid for penthouse, and like, I'm good. Give me the paid for penthouse, and you have to actively pay all of the bills for that penthouse, and we're fine.
Yeah.
I could literally just go volunteer with a museum until I get enough experience to go have a job with one. And that would be great.
If
That would
you
be fucking
married a
amazing.
billionaire, divorced them, and got a fuck ton of money, you could open up your own museum.
I mean, that's fair. But like, if I was just a volunteer, I could come and go as I wanted. No,
That's
if I married and divorced a billionaire, I would have us move to a different country and start our cafe. So
Yes,
despite
that
the
is what we
fact
would
that
do.
like I have I have I have experience running a cafe. I don't have baking experience. So like, as I spend so much time on Instagram looking at amazing like things that I would love to put in a cafe one day, like if we had one, I'd really enjoy looking at like really interesting looking foods and stuff like that on Instagram. But like, do I have the base understanding of how to make a cupcake from scratch? Not at all. Not at all. Do I know? I have no fucking like those cakes that are like circular and have like the completely smooth icing on top of that. Do I know how to do that? Not at all. Not a fucking clue. Like
That's why I would have the cafe, because I know how to do all that.
exactly. But like
It may not look extremely pretty, but it'll taste good.
and it's just like, oh, but like looking at that stuff on Instagram makes me want to open a cafe. And I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm like, I'll design the drinks. Okay, I'll make drinks. Like you can do the food related part. I will definitely
No.
present you with fancy Instagram ideas. Like, let's do that.
Here's how it would work. I would run the cafe side with the coffee
Mhm.
and the drinks. My mother would be in charge of the food in the cafe. You would make an entire menu for the drinks, and I would make them.
Yeah,
You would run the floral shop, and Erin would run the bookshop.
that's fair. Because the general idea is to have 3 actual stores that are connected to each other, despite the fact that they have like dividing glass walls, and because you don't want people taking,
I don't
like
want
the
anyone
coffee into the
taking
bookstore.
food and drink near books. Absolutely not.
Exactly. But like the general idea for all of the people who are listening, and something that's an ongoing running idea we've always had, is to own a cafe, floral shop, and a bookstore, with the floral shop in the middle and the bookstore on one end and the coffee shop on the other, to separate the food and the books. But that's just like always just been like a thing, and like I would love to do it. I even love the idea of like the cafe part of it, because I'd love to design the foods and stuff. I just don't want to make any of it.
That's fine. My
Like,
mom
well,
will be very happy to make it. So will I.
like yeah, and it's just like it wouldn't even bother me so much to like make it if I just don't want to interact with people. That's my thing. I don't want to interact with customers. If I have to sell a single fucking thing to a person, no.
Oh, and you know what the not necessarily the house rules will be, because there are restaurants where like the waiters are purposely mean to you, like they will make fun of you at your table, and that is the shtick of the restaurant.
Yeah.
Ours will be, we're not nice. We will be nice if we feel like it. Otherwise,
Well,
we're not.
our part of our slogan will be our workers are actual people. Like our workers are real people, and you're gonna get treated like a real person.
Yeah.
And
There's no what was it?
the customer is always
Catering.
right and
Yeah,
all
there's
that
no
shit.
catering to bullshit. There's just our shop, our rules. You don't like, there's the door. If you do like, come on in.
Well, that would be the beauty of owning your own place. Is you could look at somebody, and when they're being a piece of ass, like like an asshole and a piece of shit, you could look at them like, you see that door over there? Yeah, you can go out that, because I'm not serving you anymore. And in fact, like I could take your picture off the security camera and I can put it on a wall of assholes. And then every time anybody walks in here, they're gonna see your photo and they're gonna see and know that you are an asshole. So
I like that. Wall of
yeah.
assholes.
Yeah, I saw something similar on a episode of Seinfeld where a guy who owned a corner store, every time a check bounced, he took the check and like the name on the check, and he posted it like in front of the register for everyone to see, so everybody would know you're a cheapskate whose checks bounce at a corner store.
That's awesome.
So, and I'm just
All
like,
right,
oh.
I got something for you. I found an interesting site. It's
Okay.
most glaringly obvious, least relatable relationship red flags. So I'm gonna give you the most basic shtick of the red flag that they have written down here,
Okay.
and you're gonna have to figure out what book it's from.
Okay.
Now, I hope you've read this, because I know I did when I read Twilight. Your partner moves back home after a long time away, suddenly wealthy, and ends up marrying your niece to spite you.
What?
I gave you a big clue. It was a big thing in Twilight. Twatlight, whatever you want to call it.
Marries your niece.
What book is Bella obsessed with in Twilight?
Oh, Withering Heights?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
plot of Wuthering Heights. Is your partner moves back?
That was a weird book. That was a really weird book. I read, I think, the first half of that book. I don't think I finished it because I was just like, this is a
I
weird book.
I read it solely because I wanted to see what the big deal was, and I'm reading and going, this is fucking bullshit.
I read it because it was at the time my English teacher's favorite book of all time, and I tried to read it because I really liked my English teacher at the time, and I tried to read it, and I'm like, wow, this is a bad book.
Now, this next one I haven't read,
Okay.
and when Erin listens to this, she will know exactly what I'm talking about because she's read it, and she played the character from it. Your partner keeps you locked in the attic while seducing his child's tutor.
That is a plot to a hentai.
It
Just
is
don't.
not hentai. It is, yeah.
And it keeps. I don't think I've ever read a book with a woman locked in an attic. I'm sorry.
It's Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte.
Yeah, I have not.
I never read Jane Eyre.
Yeah, I have not read Jane Eyre. Locked in an attic. Okay, that's. Whew. All right. All right. Sure.
Now, I did read this next one during literature and film at college.
Okay.
I don't quite remember it because I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Your partner promises you'll be together forever
Hmm.
as soon as you finish killing their current spouse and collecting the life insurance payout.
Oh, you mean definitely the manipulating to the point of like the Joker and Harley Quinn. Because he might not have had her like kill his former anybody, but he did absolutely twist her up to the point that she was willing to kill people.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
I don't know what book that is.
It's a novella. It's called Double Indemnity. It's a film. It's like a old-timey like detective thing.
That is one of the worst relationship. Like anybody who tells you, it's just like, oh well, we could be together forever. You just have to do this one thing. No, no, it's always
No.
a lie. It's always fucked up. It's always fake. It's always bullshit. They're just using you.
So this next one, I never
Uh-huh.
read the book, but I did watch the first season of the show.
Okay.
Your partner holds you prisoner in a bookstore basement while editing your manuscript.
While editing your manuscript?
Mhm.
What?
You.
You?
It's the show You,
I've never
based
even
on a
heard of
book.
that.
Oh my god. You'd probably get a kick out of it just watching it and be like, the fuck?
That is real fucking weird. Gotta tell you,
Mhm.
that's real fucking weird.
Okay, this one you have to know because we just talked about it.
Okay.
You and your partner both know marrying each other because you're of the same social class and witty temperament, and yet you gaslight each other into thinking it's love.
Is that How I Met Your Mother?
No, that's wow. Pride and Prejudice.
But they're not of the same social class. Mr. Darcy and her are not of the same social class.
And
He's
tell that to
infinitely higher in her than her social class. Did you see his house in that movie? Like, fuck! That's not even a house at that point. That's a fucking park.
Now, this next one is a trick question, but it's so accurate. You and your partner can't stand each other, and for some reason decide that's an excuse to be together forever.
Is this a series I'm supposed to know?
It's not a series, it's just everything this person has ever written.
Oh, and I definitely know it.
Do you want me to tell you?
I'm gonna go with Twilight. Fuck,
I mean,
it's not wrong if it's
if you connect the dots going way back, you're not wrong. It's any Shakespeare play.
I mean, that's fair. That's
Because Twilight is
Romeo
some
and-
fucked up Romeo and Juliet.
Romeo and Juliet was fucked up in and of itself.
I
First of
hate
all, weren't
Romeo
they
and
like
Juliet.
14 or something like that?
She was what, 13 and he was like 17, 18?
Ay, vey.
I know, it's bleh. And like his friend was just like, bro, you were just in love with like Rosalie like 5 seconds ago, and now you're in love
Yeah.
with this other
It's
person.
just like, what? Everything about that. And like, she is so dramatic that she kills herself before she like checks for a pulse. Like, Jesus.
Like, seriously, his lip, like her, what was it? Yeah, his cheeks and his lips are still warm. He's not dead.
Yeah, it's because he's not fucking dead, you dumbass. Only a 13-year-old can cause that much drama, though.
All right, what else you got?
Okay. Speaking of Romeo and Juliet, how about star-crossed lovers or forbidden lovers?
No,
No, I agree. Like, first of
in
all, in
any
reality,
format,
yeah,
reality or fiction, not a fan.
like in reality, if everyone in your life is telling you you can't be with this person or you shouldn't be with this person, you should really listen to them. Because if no one is supporting you in your relationship, there's usually something wrong.
There's
Unless
usually a
you're
reason why everyone is saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, because even if your friends and your family both agree on one subject, like, there's usually a problem.
All right, how about this trope? Let's see. You move back to a small town and you find your soulmate, kind of thing.
I fucking hate that trope. So it is every Hallmark movie, just ever.
Mm-hmm.
As every single Hallmark movie, because every time a woman, an independent woman who has her own job, her own money, her own career, she goes back for whatever reason to her small town, and she meets a guy who has absolutely nothing, no prospects, no money, can't even like speak in proper grammar whatsoever, has nothing going for him whatsoever. And then, no, she's going to give up everything she worked for, all of her education, her job, her money, her whole life, to come move back to this small ass motherfucking town for this worthless piece of shit guy who is about 8 levels below her.
Yeah, can't do
I
it.
hate that. That's so. It's one of the reasons I can't watch like Hallmark movies. And it's just like I can watch some of them, but most of them are like, especially like the Christmas ones, are that way. Or they'll be
The
like,
Christmas ones are all the same thing.
they are. They're literally just different people in red sweaters. Like that's just all there is to it.
Like the
Slightly
show that I was
different people.
watching, Virgin River.
Mm-hmm.
The girl is from LA and she
Yeah.
moves to this small town called Virgin River. So it's not like she's going back to her shitty small town.
Yeah.
She's leaving everything she knew in LA to start a new thing somewhere else. Like, that's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine. It's not you were from a small town, you went to a big city, made something of yourself, and went back to your small town.
Yeah.
Why
to
the
be
fuck would you do that?
Nothing. And it's just like, why would you do that? Like you worked really hard, you achieved a lot, but you're going to throw all of that in the like why doesn't it ever happen where he leaves and goes to move to the city with her?
Right?
Why don't they both leave their why doesn't she leave the city and he leaves the country and they go to an entirely new town? Like how about instead of a large city and a small town, you go to a medium city? Like instead of LA and like fucking Groom, Texas with a population of like 500 people, like why don't both of you, I don't know, just go move to Carson City in
There you go.
Nevada? Like there you go. There's a middle ground. Like large city, medium, or like large city, small town, medium city. There you go. Like why don't you both just start over somewhere else? Why does one person have to give up absolutely fucking everything? It's stupid. It's stupid.
It is stupid. How about this one? Love triangle.
Oh. First of all, not a single novel, book, movie, TV show, whatever, that it has love triangle and there is an actual love triangle. Because to have a love triangle, one of those characters has to be gay. Because let me tell you, this chick's in love with this guy, and this other dude is also in love with this chick. No, that's a line with a chick in the middle. That's how that works. Because to have a triangle, this chick has to be in love with this guy, and this guy has to be in love with this other guy, and this other guy has to be in love with the chick. That's how you make a triangle. Okay? Because otherwise, it's a chick in the middle with two dudes. That's just a line. In these love triangle stories, there's always two very specific types of dudes. One of them the worthless boy next door. He's generic and plain, but that's what makes him special. Like, no, he's a piece of garbage. He amounts to nothing. He tries for nothing. He doesn't have anything. Like, there's nothing special. He is the just most bland type of beige possible. Like,
Toe
no.
beige.
And then on the other hand, you have the toxic asshole, where he's at least interesting and you can hold a decent conversation with this man. However, he is toxic, a piece of shit, usually controlling, lots of not miscommunication tropes, but like purposely withholding information from you
Yeah.
tropes, and just thinks they can control your life. Like, let's take Jacob and Edward for
Oh,
an
God.
example. And in this category, Jacob falls under the beige because
he's the safe one. That's why. The
He's
beige
like-
is gonna be the safe bet.
he's the boy next door in this scenario. He's literally the boy down the street. Like, he's the more safe option, okay? Like, especially before he turned into a werewolf, there was nothing he was really bringing to the table here. But Edward is a controlling, toxic piece of garbage. And like, that's just who he is. And that's always the way they are. You could go into the Hunger Games, where you have PETA, who is the beige boy next door, and then Gale, who's a piece of garbage. You know, like,
I still can't get over his name, Peter. I'm like, why did you name the character after a kind of bread?
Like, why did you do that? Like, I hate love triangles. I hate them. They're so stupid, and they're also not triangles. They're fucking lines. Like, there's I'm trying to look at my bookshelf.
It's a triangle because two people love the same person, and it's just like,
It's a line. Because to complete a triangle, you would have to have one LGBT character. Because one of those guys has to like the other dude. Like, it's not a triangle because you can't, like, those two sides of the triangle don't touch. It's a line with the
That's
girl
fair.
in the middle.
that's
And
fair.
it's
I'll
just
give
like-
I'll give you that.
It's not a triangle. Like, there's so many, especially when we were like teenagers and into our early 20s. That was every goddamn book series was a love triangle. Here's this person, and then here's the beige, and then here's the asshole. Pick one. And it's just like, why? It's such garbage choices. I don't want either of them. Give me Jasper, like, who is also not great.
No,
He's
he's
very
not great either.
liberally using the I can control your emotions things to get you to agree with stuff. So, also, he was a Confederate, so, like, not great in either direction. So, but I hate love triangles. I hate them.
What else we got? Vampires are just normal people, Twilight.
No, that's fair. Worst.
Falls in love with the unnoticed. The story begins with someone shy who is in love with the girl. After some time passes, the girl notices the strange-looking character and suddenly realizes that she's in love with him. Now,
Can't.
I will admit, as a fantasy,
Mm-hmm.
it hits the mark for me because I have sat there in classes, whether it's in college, in high school, whatever, just sitting there daydreaming, fantasizing about like no one notices me because I only have two friends.
Yeah.
Especially in college, you don't know anybody.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
I'm just sitting there going, I want someone to walk in the door and just notice me, and all of a sudden, oh my god, you're amazing. Let's go out.
Yeah, that's
Never
fair.
fucking happened to me. Granted, I did have that happen to one of my friends, and that turned out horribly.
Well, that's fair. That's good to know.
It was Geneva. It was in college.
Mhm.
She went to class, and this one guy came into class late, and there was a seat right in front of her, and like he immediately saw her, sat
Yeah.
down right in front of her, and just started talking to her after class, during class, whatever. 2 weeks after these two started talking, and mind you, she didn't want anything serious at all. She was just like, casual's fine,
Yeah.
whatever, going out, doing things, free bird. 2 weeks later, he introduces her to his friend, saying, "Hey, this is my girlfriend," and she's like, "Excuse me, what?" We never discussed this.
Wow. Wow. What a piece of garbage.
I know.
Ugh. Now, that whole like it at that person like I've read books where like especially like for the young adult novels it's like the exchange student shows up and he's different, he's special, and I'm plain and ordinary, but he noticed me and thinks I'm amazing and special too. Fucking stupidest shit on the planet. Especially, I can't stand the lead characters who are like, I'm so ordinary. I'm so average. I'm so nothing. But yet at the same time, I have suddenly the sword fighting skills to like defeat people who have
It
been
came
doing
out
it
of
for
fucking
20
nowhere. You were
years.
sitting on your ass doing nothing, and all of a sudden you know how to use a sword.
And it's just like suddenly you're besting trained soldiers in combat. And it's just like, where did you like, especially the ones that are like after like a week of training, I hope you're good enough to like when you have to go fight like this big bad evil guy and like absolutely trashes the big bad evil guy. And it's just like he's had a lifetime of experience in like sword fighting or like anything else, and you've had like a week of training. Or like the way they're like, well, I'm ordinary and I'm super normal and like all this, like, no, you can't be both. You can't be super fucking ordinary and then in a week's time go do something extraordinarily and amazing and whatever. Like, look, if you have like hidden magical powers or like suddenly develop some kind of weird ability or whatever, that's fine because it's an explainable way. But unless your super ability, magical talent, or whatever is you, suddenly like your magical ability is I suddenly know how to use every single weapon ever with the
Right.
level of an experienced master. No. I also like I'm fine with the this is an average person and we're going to turn this chick into something great. That's fine. Because in all honesty, that was my bread and butter as a teenager and like a little later.
Give them
Because
some skills. Yeah, let them learn
yeah,
something.
but like because you like the idea that like anybody can be this like amazing chosen one type person, like anybody could be that way, and like there's an appeal to that because you could apply it to yourself and the idea like, well, I could be this great amazing thing. And but at the same time you have to build to this point of
Mm-hmm.
where they are this amazing and great person. It can't just be like, oh, well, while the fighting was going on, like I ran and hid, or they told me to hide, or whatever, and then suddenly in the last book or whatever, they get to the fight with a big bad evil dude, and she destroys him and she bests him in combat, and like she defeats the ultimate evil by herself, and it's just like you displayed none of the abilities that would have led you to be able to do that. And also, I hate the lead characters who do nothing but put themselves down and talk shit about themselves. Like, well, there's nothing special about me. I'm just this plain, average, worthless person who nobody's ever thought I was interesting. I have no friends. I have no nothing. Like, I have no, like,
If you
no,
have no friends, that is a red flag. There is
yeah.
something wrong. I'm
And
sorry, but like if there's a main character that says, "Oh yeah, I have no friends," why? What is wrong with you that you have no friends?
like, even at my most introverted point in my life, I had friends. Like, you don't need a lot of them, but if you don't have any, that's weird. Like, that's real fucking weird that you don't have any. That tells me that at that point, it's not a everybody else problem, it's a you problem, and something weird with you, and something wrong. Like, you have to have at least like somebody, one person. Like, I don't need you to have a whole like fucking 20, 30 friends. Just like you tell me you have a best friend, like, there you go. Like, that's fine. But if, like, no, I hate the characters that they spend so much of the novel in, like, describing themselves and everything as just putting themselves down the whole time. And I'm like, I'm nothing. Like, there's nothing special about me. I'm not in anything. It's just like, what? No, that's not how that works. Like, I don't need you to be like some highly unique person or whatever. I just need you to be a person who doesn't spend the entire novel talking about how worthless they are. And I have read some of those. Those are so. I've definitely put down novels where that's the way it goes. Like the whole description of the character is she's just like, well, I'm so average and I'm so normal, and but I or like less than normal. Like, well, I'm constantly, I don't have, like I am super ugly, or like all this other stuff. And it's like, don't do this. Don't do this, cuz now you're just making it so I don't like you. Like
Right?
you have to be the base level of likable at least. You can develop from there, but like you have to have the base level of likable at the very least. And it's just like, please don't do this. Don't be
Here's another
this.
trope, and I know how you feel about this one.
Ooh, okay.
The chosen one.
The foundations of our fictional childhood. That's what that is. Because every fucking fantasy book was the chosen one. Harry Potter was the chosen one. Percy Jackson shit is the chosen one. Like everything is the
The
chosen one.
magicians,
The Magicians was the chosen one. Like I
Inkheart.
hate, yeah, that was. Oof. I hate the chosen one because the chosen one stuff has a lot to do. It's kind of like a
Oh yeah, the
sister
Red Queen,
a
Artemis
sister
Fowl.
trope.
Yeah.
It's like a sister trope of the one I was just talking about, of like the ordinary person suddenly has all of these abilities and stuff like that. Like, no, you have to start from somewhere. You have to start and then actively get to that point. Because unless your magical ability is like magical weapon expertise, no. You're not defeating people in hand-to-hand combat if you don't have any hand-to-hand combat experience. I am fully willing as a person to punch somebody in the face if they like were trying to punch me in the face too, but I don't have any assumptions that I could defeat in combat a Navy SEAL. No. Do I think I could defeat a Navy SEAL? No, I don't. And that would be ridiculous to assume that I could.
All right. How about the secret heir trope?
Like this person is secretly a royal or like
Yeah,
of
they're the
okay.
long lost secret heir to some throne.
Oh, like Princess Diaries style?
Yeah.
Secret heir. Okay, I don't super have an issue with this one. I think it makes sense as a plot point for like moving a story along or starting a story really, and to like change the setting. I think that is more believable to me and than a lot of the than like the chosen one, in all honesty. In a reality setting, I if somebody walked up to me and was just like, "You are the long lost," like England has a bunch of unclaimed titles from
Oh
like
my god,
lines that have.
England has unclaimed heirs because everyone went fucking everyone else.
I mean, did you see like where a couple of years ago they found out that like one of their England's most famous queens or whatever was she they didn't think she had an heir, and she has a direct descendant who's like some kind of uh like bank clerk or something like that. And if things had been slightly different, just slightly different, that woman would be the current Queen of England.
Oh my
I can't
god.
remember what queen she was descended from.
Victoria?
Maybe.
Fact check. Like, see, does she have hemophilia?
Yeah, she was the descendant of Queen Victoria, I believe. And she's Queen Elizabeth's third cousin or something like that. But if things had been a little differently, she would be I think, yeah, I think that's who it is. But if things would be a little differently, she would be the Queen of England, and she is.
I mean, I wouldn't mind having just regular old Jane from the bank become queen.
Yeah, like honestly, it would not bother me. But like that, it's kind of it. I would believe it if somebody like if I heard about it like in the news, like they did like this genealogy and like DNA testing and stuff like that. And turns out so and so person is like descendant from one of these, especially in like places like England. Like my God, and like or if somebody was like somebody claims one of these lost titles or whatever, and they could prove it and stuff like that. But if somebody just came up to me and be like, "We believe that you are like." a missing descendant of somebody with one of these titles, I would be like, yeah, you're gonna have to do a lot to prove it to me, and I am going to need to get official authorities involved in this because I don't believe you.
Yeah,
I
I'm not gonna
absolutely
fall
would
for
not
the
believe you.
Nigerian prince who wants to give me a whole bunch of money bullshit.
Yeah, like there I would have to like fucking go if somebody tried to tell me that I had like some kind of title in like say England for whatever because as we've learned recently I'm like 40% English or whatever.
Mhm.
I would have to walk into Buckingham Palace and have somebody like tell me like you are in fact like a descent here's your title shit. Like there you go. Like if you did that, sure, I would be willing to believe you. But nothing
Still
short.
skeptical as fuck, but I'll
Yeah.
take it because I get money.
Yeah, and like I'm gonna need a genealogist and a historian, and I'm gonna hire my own, and like all of this other shit. But like, unless you're holding an actual full blown royal ceremony for me in Buckingham Palace, I'm gonna call your bullshit.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna call your bullshit. How you got me to England is I will never know because there's no way I could just hop on a plane because somebody told me I'm gonna go inherit a royal title. Like no. Unless it's Princess Diary style, where your own relative can, in fact, confirm that this is true. Like, if my mom told me, oh, yeah, well, my family's a descendant of something, like that's what I, or
By
like
the
that's,
way, and you just look at your mom and be like, why are we living in squalor? Like,
I would have a lot of questions. And it was that is actually a trope that I thought about a lot as a child growing up because I always thought to
some
myself, like,
distant relative. Yeah.
yeah, I was like some distant relative or whatever. I mean, you can technically go on ancestry.com and trace my ancestry back to the 1400s. So I didn't find anybody interested, but that's in Germany, and I don't really want to be related to people in Germany. So, um, no offense, but Germany doesn't have a great history.
No,
Germany,
but they're a great country now.
that's fair.
Um,
They're a much better place now. But historically speaking, I don't want to trace any of my relatives to
no,
Germany.
no.
So, um,
Um, more
yeah,
tropes. Like, how about when you're stuck somewhere with someone? Like you're trapped in an elevator, or you're
that
throw that with the one bed trope.
Okay, well, they stuck somewhere together, especially if it's someone you don't know. It's only acceptable for one night stands in fiction.
Okay.
It is not acceptable in any other way. You don't know anything about this person. You are put in a terrible situation in which to like uh meet one another. So you're going to have like high tensions which usually turns in fiction.
Usually, when you're stuck together somewhere, it's like
Anger.
yeah, it's usually like an enemies to lovers type thing, and you're stuck together.
Mhm.
And usually, there's one bed in wherever you are. If you're in like like a hotel or whatever, and you're traveling together, and there's
The problem I have with the one bed trope, especially in reality, fiction, it's a little more acceptable. I've read one bed trope stuff, like whatever. And in like fiction, it doesn't bother me so much because like just be adults and just sleep in the same fucking bed. Nobody's telling you to have sex with anything. Just sleep in the same fucking bed. In fiction or in reality, it bothers me because the floor exists. There you go. The floor exists. Sleep on the floor for one fucking night. It's not gonna kill you. It will not like as a person, if I slept on the floor, would everything ache in the morning? Absolutely. Would I do it so I didn't have to sleep in a bed with a strange person I didn't know? Yes.
absolutely.
Yes, I would. I don't even fucking need a pillow. I'll just sleep on the fucking floor. That's fine. But like, I would just sleep on the floor. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, especially in a hotel, there's always two pillows. Just give me the fucking spare pillow. I'll lay on the floor. There you go. It's just not that complicated. Like, one bed tropes don't make sense in reality, are acceptable in fiction, don't make sense in reality. I like
Yeah.
them in fiction because usually they wake up and they're like somebody has an arm around somebody else. You're like, oh, it's so cute. In reality, I'd be like, why the fuck are you
Are you
touching me?
touching me?
Just like no. But then again, I wouldn't have that issue because I'd be sleeping on the floor.
Uh, amnesia/mistaken identity.
Mistaken identities are a problem because you're not the person they think you are, and you have the responsibility to clear that shit up. And if you don't, that like if say like somebody like thinks that you're so and so and like they kiss you or whatever, and you let that happen because you let them think that there's some, you're somebody else. That's not consent at that point. This person cannot consent if they think you're somebody else. Like that's the amnesia one. Like that. I read a thing where a guy, his wife got amnesia, and he went through the entire process of getting to know her, dating her, and they got remarried because she fell back in love with him even though she didn't remember him. Like that,
Okay.
that's lovely. That's so fucking sweet. You put in all of that time. You were married before. He went through the entire process of dating her from square one, of like from the very first day they met. He did it all over again, and she fell in love with him all over again without her memories. That's adorable. Now, that is only acceptable at that point. But like if you're a former enemy and has decided to try and start from square one, that's bullshit because the other person isn't able to operate under the full assumption of and knowledge of everything that you've done to them.
I was gonna say either way, I'd be very sus.
Yeah, super sus. Like now, in the situation where this guy like remarried this woman and everything like that, she could get confirmation from her family of like, yeah, this is your, this is your husband. Like you guys have been married for like however many years and stuff like that. But just from like somebody who you weren't actively married to before that point, I would be like, we weren't dating. Don't know why
Yeah.
we're gonna start now. If I met somebody new that like I didn't know previously, sure, like whatever. But like no, not a no.
The best friend's brother slash sister one is never one I've enjoyed.
No, no, no. Getting in a relationship with your friend's siblings is a terrible fucking idea. That's a
Because if things go south, shit's gonna get weird.
shit gonna get real weird because you might be able to dump the boyfriend, but your friend can't dump the brother. So
Yeah.
that's really fucking weird.
Also, growing up, all my friends had younger brothers. I'm like, that's
Yeah.
never happening.
The only friends I've had with siblings, I'll have younger siblings. I'm like, that'd be really weird. And I think the older sibling thing is creepy because it's the reverse of like, how much older are we talking? Because that's weird too.
Say 4 years,
Oh,
but
no.
it's still weird. It's like as a teen, it's endearing to us because it's like, oh, the older one likes me. But then when you look at it from the outside, it's like grooming.
Mm-hmm. It's
That's
real
creepy.
fucking weird. It's real fucking weird. Like now, for like a true red flag of like controlling behavior. Now, I'll give you some examples and you tell me if like any of these people are acceptable in any way. Okay, we'll start with Edward Cullen. Specifically, him not letting Bella go visit Jacob and LaPush.
No.
Like, that to me is, first of all, Edward Cullen, the number one worst fictional man maybe ever in a novel that I've genuinely read.
Worse than Carden?
Carden is straightforward with his bullshit.
That's
and
fair.
his assholery. Edward gaslights first, and then like he fully looked at Bella and was like, "You didn't." When like he had stopped that car, he's like, "You didn't see anything," and like tries to make her doubt herself. He's like, "You didn't see anything.
You
don't
don't
know what
have
you're talking
Jedi
about."
mind tricks.
It's just
You
like
vampire twat.
no. But then at some point, Edward breaks Bella's truck so that she
So
can't,
he can't
go
and visit Jacob.
Like, first of all, no. Second of all, later down the road, like when like they're engaged and everything, she gets a new truck. Really, I can't remember if like she said that he broke her truck or if like she
No, I think Emmett
suspected
told her.
yeah,
I think
like
Emmett
she
told her.
suspected that he broke her truck or something like that. And it's just like, I'm sorry. What kind of controlling ass motherfucker are you? Because if the moment you try to tell me what I can and cannot do, there's the door. The moment you try to tell me who I can and cannot go see, there's the door. That you try to tell me who I can be friends with, there's the door. You break any of my shit. You give away any of my shit. You touch my shit in a way that permanently changes, damages, moves my shit. That is the door. Do not let it hit you on the way out. I just got through reading about a woman who, let me tell you, her brother and sister-in-law moved in with her because they needed a place to stay. This woman, her husband died 6 months ago. He was a piano teacher and she had a piano
Oh
that he
no.
had helped her
Oh
buy.
no.
They gave it to a friend to keep in the garage
Why? It's not their fucking property.
because she would play it during the day and they didn't like it. And
It's not your fucking house. She's letting you live courtesy.
And they gave it to this friend and wouldn't tell her where it was. And she told them they had 2 days to return it or she was calling the cops and then kicked them out. And now her family's mad at her. I'm like, I wouldn't have given them the courtesy of 2 days. I would have called the fucking cops because in the meantime, they've got 2 days to do something with that piano. Like, no.
Fuck that.
Especially because it's not like it was a small piano. It was a fucking grand piano. It's expensive. And it's the only big thing she has from her
From
husband.
her husband.
Who died. He died 6 months before. Are you fucking kidding me? What
That.
the fuck is wrong with people?
I'm surprised she gave them 2 days.
Honestly, and like she was pissed and I'm thinking to myself, I really wish there had been like an update on there. And there wasn't, and I'm just like, God damn! I wanted to see you call the cops, girl. Like you call those fucking cops.
All right, who else you got?
Let's okay. Another person, and you can rate this person on how many red flags you think they have, if they have any, what you think they are. Let's go with. I'm going to go with Ron Weasley.
Oh, okay. Ron Weasley.
Do you think he has red flags? If so, what are they?
Yes, he definitely has red flags. He is like one of the epitomes of if he's mean to you, that means he likes you.
That's very true.
And it's not true. If he's mean to you, he's a fucking dick. He's got some kind of insecurity and he's taking it out on you because for some reason he thinks that you are bait.
And even if he likes you, that's a terrible way to show it.
That's a terrible way to show it. On a scale of 1 to 10,
we are giving him a little leniency for the fact that he goes from a kid to being a teenager. At the oldest he is in these books is 17. So like he's allowed a little stupidity.
Yes, but okay, I was gonna say, but the whole lavender thing, he's what, 16? It's still stupid. Like again, you're young, you're gonna make mistakes, but that's stupid. After giving Hermione shit for going out with Crumb,
with Victor, yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that Ron is about a 6 on the red flag scale because he is stupid. He does have red flags, but he's also mostly harmless.
Fair point. I think he gets more toxic in the 7th book with all of the bullshit that happens and like he leaves and everything.
Yes, but I will chalk that up to his continued wearing of the Horcrux because it is because he had it on for a very long time and it was starting to affect him.
Okay, I'll give you that.
So I will give him that.
Okay. Yeah. Now, is that enough red flags that you would not date him?
He's pushing it.
Yeah.
He's pushing it. I have gone out with many red flags ranging from like an 8 to a 17. So Ron, like I said, Ron's at the limit because he's also, my friend says it wonderfully. She's like, no more potential. We don't want to go out with potential because potential means there's nothing there.
That's
there are projects in the works.
Advice.
I do not want potential. I want established.
You don't want a project.
I don't want a project.
You have hobbies. You don't need one to be fixing up a man. You need a man, not a boy or a bunch of pieces in a box that you got to put together. I completely agree with that. Ron would be an ongoing project. Like, say on a scale of 1 to 10, he's like a 5. You're never gonna get him past like a 6.5, maybe a 7.
With the relationship with him and Hermione, like in their future, she becomes Minister of Magic.
Yeah.
What is Ron? Stay-at-home dad? Nothing against stay-at-home dad.
Yeah, I think
nothing against them.
But I think he works with George now.
Like she's got such high ambitions, and he's like, yeah.
Like she's like a 9 or 10, not like in looks, but like as a person. She's like a
Yeah.
9 or a 10, and he's like a 4. And this is not one of those, and like I know relationships attract, or like opposites
Opposites
attract,
attract, and you
which
need to
is
balance it out
bullshit.
and everything.
Which is like in some ways, yes, but they have to have a foundational commonality to
Yeah.
make a relationship work. Their foundational commonality is Harry. Your
Is their
foundational
friend, yeah.
commonality cannot be another person. It has to be a foundation in which you guys work together on a very base level. And Ron and Hermione don't. They just don't work on a base level. And I do not like that relationship whatsoever. I'll give you
I
another
have one
person that
for
ended
you.
my. Ooh, okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's gonna be so easy.
Okay.
Christian Grey.
Oh, on the scale of how many red flags that he has all of them. There are no more. Every other man is losing their red flags because they're having to donate them to Christian Grey, who is Edward Cullen, but without any of the supernatural interesting bits, given more money, given more power, and more audacity. And he takes this girl who is entirely a virgin from square one, um, makes her sign a weird relationship contract, proceeds to be the most toxic fucking person I've ever encountered in fiction whatsoever. And also, God, excluding the fact that the writing is terrible, because it is. Like, just, and not correct in so many ways. Uh, Christian Grey is all of the bad points of a relationship of Edward Cullen, of the Joker, of like maybe Hannibal Lecter, and just like in one person. Seriously, he's all of the bad points.
He's everything. I remember when I don't know if it was when the book came out, but it was definitely when the movies were coming out that everyone and their mother was in the BDSM community was all over the internet saying this is not how this shit works.
Yeah.
Because everything about BDSM is all about consent
Yeah. It's
and
all about
safety.
yeah. And like
Nothing about Christian Grey is consensual.
no, it's all gaslighting, manipulation, and forcing her into things. It's like it makes more sense to me if it had been a mob setting,
Okay.
and like he was like a mob boss and he's like captured this girl, rather than something any kind of level of voluntary. Like, and it's so inaccurate and so misguiding and misleading in so many ways. It's genuinely just awful. And no, fuck Christian Grey. And not in the way that happens in 50 Shades of Grey.
All right. Hello.
Oh, I've got one for you.
Yes.
Falling in love with your kidnapper.
Looking at you, Bella Swan.
Oh, looking at you, Bella or Belle from Beauty and the Beast.
That too.
Like,
But I mean, Belle doesn't necessarily get kidnapped. She willingly trades places with
and
her
fall
father.
in love with her hostage uh captor.
With her captor. Yes, but I don't know. What does it say about me that I like the Beast? Before he was Prince Adam, I like the Beast. I like that version of him, and I am not a furry.
Like, okay, well, first of all, nobody likes the human version of Prince Adam. Nobody does.
He's cute. He's one of the cuter, good-looking princes, but
But
for the
literally
Beast.
nobody likes Prince Adam as a human.
Yeah.
Like nobody if you put Beast and then Prince Adam as a human in front of you, nobody's fucking picking human version of Prince Adam, because it's like all of the interesting points of the Beast drained away the moment he
Yep.
became human for whatever purpose. And like it doesn't help the fact that he has like no lines and technically doesn't even have a name. I think it's only actually referenced in the ending credits or something like that, what his name is.
Yeah.
Um
Like, no, like to this day, not many people know that he's an act like that. He has a name as a prince.
yeah, like he has an actual name. But like I think it's a terrible thing because it's just Stockholm syndrome. That's all
It's
is.
100% Stockholm syndrome.
I go on vacation in a few days.
I know. Are you excited?
But
Are you excited? Go on your cruise.
yeah,
Where are you stopping? Like you're leaving from Port Canaveral.
No,
No.
I have to fly to Boston. to leave from
Oh,
Boston.
I thought I thought you guys were going from Florida. Okay, so you're flying
No.
into Boston, and you're
Flying into
going.
yeah, going from there
I need to write
to
this down because even my parents are like, "Oh, tell me, where is she going? Where is she stopping?" I'm like, "Okay, hang on."
we'll go from Boston to Charlottetown on Prince Edward Island. Yeah, that should be so. The cruise leaves Friday. Saturday
Mm-hmm.
is an entire day at sea.
See,
Then
yeah,
Sunday is when we get to Charlottetown. And then Monday is Sydney, which is Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia. And then Tuesday is Halifax, Nova Scotia.
Halifax. What was Monday?
Sydney.
Sydney. Because I'm like Australia.
Yeah, it's technically Sydney, Cape Breton Island, Breton Island. Um,
Okay.
and and then Halifax, and then which is cool because that's not super far from where they film Oak Island. So I'm kind of like hoping to
Ooh,
find some Oak Island stuff in Halifax.
that should be fun.
Um, yeah, I don't. Unfortunately, we're not there long enough for to like go out to Oak Island or anything like that, which is
Okay.
unfortunate. But it is the major city, not too far from Oak Island. And then we enter back into the United States with Portland, Maine, and
On
then
Wednesday?
let's
Or
see,
Wednesday is a day
Sunday,
at sea.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. No, that's Wednesday. It should be Wednesday.
Wednesday is Portland,
Yeah. And then Thursday is Bar Harbor, Maine.
Bahaba.
Yeah.
My my ex's family is near Bar Harbor.
Oh, well, I hope I don't run into any of them. Not that I
This
would
time
recognize them
of
if I
year,
did, but
this time of year, you may not. They might be in Wells. I don't know. I don't care.
yeah.
I really don't care. And then Friday, you're back in
Yep,
Boston.
back in Boston. So, yep doodle, and then we fly out that afternoon. Should get
Right, because you're
home.
off the boat. You're off the ship at 11.
The ship docks at 7 in the
Yeah,
morning.
everyone's out by 11
Yeah, it was, and
because
because
then they're gonna get everyone back on the boat by like 5.
yeah, so we'll our flight I think is at like 2 or something like
Okay.
that, and then maybe a little later than that. But then we're coming back that evening, so
Cool. All right,
we'll
I
have
have
to
that info now.
we'll have to come home, and then we gotta go get the dogs after we come home because we'll have to come home to get the car and all that. So but yeah, so it'll be interesting. So I'm at the point where I'm sick of planning for it, and I just want to do it. So I've gotten to that stage. I'm just like I'm tired of prepping.
I I love the prepping part. So like when I was prepping everything for Florida, I'm just like, okay, everything's done.
Yeah.
And I didn't get to the point of like, because as it got closer, I'm just like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, shit. I'm like, I just want to plan it. Like I want to be able to plan it, and then as soon as it's planned, just poof, I'm there.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like
That's fair. It's all of the lead up to it. But yeah, like especially because we have the dogs and like there's
yeah.
just so much to do. And like I had to go to the store yesterday um at like 8 o'clock because we needed something, and tomorrow I get off work early and I have to go to the store to buy something else. And actually I'm trying to buy a bigger what?
No, sorry, continue.
I'm trying to buy a bigger backpack because my current one doesn't fit everything I need it to fit. And
Can't you
like
take a suitcase? You're allowed a
We
suitcase.
don't want to check bags. We just want to carry on, and that's it. So
Okay.
I don't want to pay
Yeah.
for a checked bag for a cruise. But yes, are we cutting the episode here, or did you want to go over anything else?
Hang on, I have one more trope to ask, and that's the tragic backstory.
No. That really depends on what tragic backstory we're talking about here. Because if you're adding trauma to a story, to a character, just to try and make the character more interesting, it doesn't work that way. You're either an interesting person and character or you're not, and like your trauma and your trauma history does not make you more interesting. And it's just like it doesn't make you better, it doesn't make you like more interesting to me. Like if I meet somebody who has a horrible long like history of terrible things that have happened to them, they better be in therapy, because like I don't like in my stories, it's also like something that doesn't make a character more interesting. It doesn't develop anything for me. It's just old. And it's just like like Sasuke from Naruto. His entire fucking family was murdered. His assumed it was his brother who did it, and he has this really multi like year series in which he just gets progressively more brooding, all because of his tragic backstory. Like, no, it doesn't make up for the fact that you're just a piece of garbage if you're just a piece of garbage.
Can confirm through experience that if someone you meet has a tragic backstory, run.
Yeah, run.
Because
Just
that is
leave.
nothing but unresolved trauma. No therapy has been done. Gaslighting, manipulation, just, oh, but this is what happened to me. I don't give a shit what happened to you. It happened to you. Get over it or fix it. Something. Don't just keep using it as an excuse. But this happened. This, I don't care.
It's like,
I'm
fix
not your therapist.
yourself.
I'm not your mother.
Yeah, fix yourself because I'm not here to fix you. That
I'm
is
here to
not
fix
what we're here
myself.
for. Like, you have issues? Good. Go to therapy. There you go. That's your answer. There is nothing else. You have issues? Go to therapy. That's all you need to know. Because if you don't, and you have like Sasuke level backstory, like trauma, um, that's your solution. That's your only solution. Go to therapy, fix yourself, or you're gonna end up like Sasuke.
The
And
last
nobody
one.
needs to be like
The
Sasuke.
last one. So much trauma. Ugh.
No. Sasuke, after an entire series of bullshit, of like being dramatic over how his whole family is dead, and his brother's the one who killed him, but it turns out his brother did it on orders by the village, and like he's actually a good guy. Okay, first of all, no, he's not, because he did in fact just willingly murder all. And like, it's not like his family was a family of like their immediate family. They had a clan of hundreds of people, and he methodically went and killed every single fucking person, whether they were a man, woman, adult, elder, or a child. Like, yeah, no, there's something fucking wrong with that. And like, but he spared only Sasuke. And like, okay, then Sasuke goes along, and after he finds out everything about his brother, then he decides he's going to destroy the whole village and kill even more people. Like, okay. Then he, after spending however many years in which Naruto was around, which is definitely like minimum, I think, of 15 years. I don't really know. But then he finally decides to marry Sakura. Okay? Which also, let me tell you, on par of terrible relationships, Sakura and Sasuke stands toe to toe with Draco and Hermione.
Oh boy.
No questions. He has tried to murder her. Okay? Murder her more than once. Then they get married and they have a kid. And you know what he does? His daughter is 12. Went on and on and on about how he's going to restart his clan and make everything better and like bring his clan back. Okay. His daughter's born. His wife gets pregnant. He ditches her at the village. His daughter's born. He's never met her. He's never met her. 12 fucking years. He fucks off from his kid and his wife. And the first thing he does when he sees his daughter for the very first time, granted, he doesn't know it's his daughter because he's
Tries to
never
kill her?
fucking met her. He tries to kill her. He tries to fucking kill her. And the only reason he doesn't kill her is because he realizes that's his daughter. At the last
Wow.
split second. You want to talk about toxic men, right? Standing toe to toe with Christian Grey is Sasuke Uchiha, because that is a piece of a garbage human being right there. Absolute garbage in every conceivable way.
Now,
That is
which
the
one is your favorite? The one with the white hair.
well, not necessarily Kakashi.
Kashi.
Like, I like Kakashi. I've gone through phases. Like when I was young, before Sasuke defected and he left the village, Sasuke was my favorite because dark brooding one has
Right.
always been like my main. But then he left the village and became really fucking weird. Also, he went to go live with like a snake pedophile. So like, and you will not meet anybody who has read or watched the series who describes Orochimaru as anything else but a snake pedophile, because that's what he is.
All right. He should meet
Like,
Ayame.
oh, Ayame is a godsend compared to Orochimaru.
I know. We like Ayame.
Um, But like Ayame has also never kidnapped children and
No,
forced them to.
Shigure is
No, no,
close though.
no. It gets better. It gets better. Orochimaru takes these children because they have the potential for abilities, and he raises them until the point he can take over their bodies and become them. Like, yeah, no, he wanted
Didn't see that
Sasuke.
coming.
He wanted Sasuke, who was 12, for his body. Like, no. No.
Ew.
That's why I put him up there with Christian Grey. So,
Mm.
yeah, no, that is now my favorite from the Naruto world. Like, it used to be Sasuke, and then like it kind of moved into Naruto for like a really long time. And I do like Naruto. He doesn't really have like a lot of red flags or anything like that. He's just a genuinely nice person who also has tragic backstory, but he wanted to spread niceness and like positivity because of the shit that happened to him. So like
Sure.
now Kakashi as a more of an adult person, like I do like Kakashi a lot. He has a lot of red flags. He also has extensive non-resolved trauma issues as well, so like definitely not relationship goals on
Mm-hmm.
any stretch of the imagination. Like Kakashi ends the series single, and that is exactly how he should be. Like, just there is no relationships for Kakashi, and that is exactly how it should be. No relationships for him because he has the like the trademark trauma, but he was smart enough to know this would not go well into a relationship. So we don't. I my other favorite characters are not any better because Madara is one of my favorites, and he tries to destroy the planet and then take over everyone's mind with mind powers and put them in a reality of his own making. So I don't have great taste in fictional men. is my is my statement.
I
We are
mean,
we are aware I have terrible taste in fictional men because my fictional men are always on the list of top red flags.
that's
It's
that
not
is
good,
very
girl.
fair. It's
It's
very
not.
fair.
Especially like my I feel like my novel choices are better than my anime choices. Like my anime choices are trash. Like they trash, girl. Like no, they're not very good. But like I feel like my novel choices are a little better. Like no, I
Cause
can't
what
say
was it?
great.
It's da, 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 da. Oh, who am I thinking of? What am I thinking of? Shit. He's not that horrible, but the blonde guy from Food Wars.
Oh, one of the brothers.
Yes.
Yeah. He's a little bit of a dick. He's pretentious is what he is.
Yes.
Like I don't remember his name because it's been a really long time since I watched Food Wars.
But him.
But yeah, no, he's pretentious, but on the scale of toxic like fictional men, for me, like he's really low on my list of terrible.
He's
Like
low.
my list includes Sirius Black, Draco Malfoy, uh, Kakashi, uh, Jesus, trying to think of some other ones that I just every series. Loki, I love Loki, but holy fuck. uh because oh, I love Toshiro, but he has some he's Toshiro just doesn't know from Bleach just doesn't understand how to communicate very well. And then of course you go to My Hero Academia.
Still haven't seen My Hero.
I mean, Bakugo Katsuki, I love him, but and he has a lovely redemption to himself, but like
Okay.
in the first volume, he is actively he is the childhood bully of the main character.
Okay.
He is the childhood bully of the main character who at one point he does tell to jump off a roof. And
Lovely.
yeah, and like that's not acceptable in any means whatsoever. Um he does work on himself. It takes a while, but at the moment it doesn't matter because My Hero Academia has taken such a weird fucking series of left turns. They've ended up on another planet, so I don't really
Okay.
know what to do with that. So I'm just kind of ignoring My Hero Academia canon and just strictly going with fan fiction. And on that note, Bakugo is my, no offense, Bakugo, because I have a
Because
figurine
he's
of him
right
like
there
right
on your
next to my
desk.
desk.
Yep.
But directly above him, also on my desk, would be this character. And his name is Dobby. And my favorite character, you don't get more toxic than that.
Who is
He is
that?
he is a villain, for one. And his name is,
Okay.
if you're gonna Google him, his name is spelled Dabi. And I love him.
Okay.
I absolutely adore him, but he's definitely murdered some people, actively trying to kill some other people, and is in a. I ship him with the other person in his statue set, which would be Hawks. And you want to talk about a toxic relationship? This would not be a healthy relationship at all. Like from the ground up, I ship him 110% with Hawks, but like that would be a very bad relationship in reality. Mostly because
Okay.
Hawks is a hero. He's like the number 2 or 3 hero in Japan, and Dabby is one of the number like top 5 most wanted people in Japan. So like,
Most
not
wanted.
great.
All right.
Yeah, not great. So, but I love him. He's terrible, but I love him.
I mean, can't go wrong.
Granted, now I will say, he is from highly abusive family, and like it's not really a surprise he turned out the way that he did. So, because I will say this, My Hero Academia doesn't shy away from shit like that. Like one of the pro heroes is also depicted as like an abuser of his own family, and which, like, kudos to the author of like being real about it. But then again, I also felt bad, and I'm not entirely sure how true this is, but I did read at some point that the way he portrays Endeavor as an abuser is he modeled Endeavor after the author's own life experiences. And it's just like I'm with an abuser, and I'm just like, okay, you can't redeem that. And people like try to give Endeavor like a redemption arc. I'm like, no, no, no. He took his 5-year-old son and made him use his powers, which actively hurt him until he pukes and passes out on a daily basis. It's just
Okay.
like you can't redeem that. Like, and you isolated him, kept him away from his mother and the rest of his family in like isolation, and wouldn't let him interact with anybody else, to the point that he doesn't understand basic social cues because he's never been around other people. All for the pursuit of defeating Endeavor's other hero rival and making a hero better than his hero rival because Endeavor himself couldn't beat him. Like, what? Also,
I
he purchased his wife.
Oh,
Yes,
okay.
he purchased his wife because her quirk was the exact. He has a fire quirk and she had an ice quirk, so he paid her family, who was in like debt, a bunch of money for the rights to arrange a marriage with her. And
Of
then because
course he
he was
did.
trying to create the ultimate hero that had like heat and ice, and so he purchased her. And considering the fact that they had multiple children, tells you all you need to know.
That's wrong on so many levels.
Yes, Endeavor is a lot of things, but he is a really fucking toxic red flag of a person. So
Okay. Okay.
we need to end this episode on a better note than Endeavor.
Okay.
Because fuck. Fuck Endeavor.
Okay.
I know so many people who are like, oh, but he's like this or he's that. And it's just like, um,
No.
no. No. What he is
No.
garbage. Garbage.
Garbage. Garbage.
Okay. I will give you 2 characters.
Okay.
And you have to tell me. It'll be 2 characters with red flags, and you have to tell me you have to date one of them.
Oh
Which one would you
no.
choose? Okay.
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 I'm gonna regret
Okay.
this.
You are. Um. Let's see. Lucius Malfoy or Arrow from Twilight?
Malfoy.
Okay, why?
Because no part of me ever wants to go near Arrow and hear him go, Bella.
Fair enough. That's valid.
No.
Sure. Sure, that's valid. That's genuinely valid. Okay. 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 Two more characters. Let's see. Human version of Tom Riddle.
What
And
age? Are we talking? Which version?
after he graduates, before he kills Harry. So he's still alive and he's like in his 20s
so we
or
haven't
whatever.
actually seen him.
So he's supposed to be very charismatic and good looking. So
I know, but we've already established that Chamber of Secrets version of Tom Riddle is much more charming than Half Blood
And better
Prince
looking.
version.
True. We'll make the assumption that the Chamber of Secrets version is the one that grows up into the version that we're discussing. So
Okay,
it's
I'll take it.
the more appealing version. Versus, like you have to pick one. I'm gonna go with who do I want to match Tom Riddle with? I'm going to say ooh.
I don't like that. Ooh.
Tom Riddle or the Joker.
Tom Riddle.
It's fair.
No question. I really don't.
Tom Riddle's much more sane than the Joker is, so like,
yeah, and that's saying something.
Not really saying something. Got anything to add?
He's not necessarily a red flag. Oh, well, no, he's not. But Hagrid.
Okay.
Or wow. No, scratch that. Not even Hagrid. Ross or Ted Mosby.
Oh, Ross.
Really?
Give me a museum job.
Okay, I'll give you that. Okay.
Like all he wants to do in the series a lot of times is just talk about like dinosaurs and his museum shit, and I'd totally be down for talking about the dinosaurs and the museum shit and be like, yeah.
Okay. I accept this.
All right. Got any more?
Shang from Mulan.
Okay.
Or
it's hard to find the second one. Like it's hard not to find the first one. It's hard to find the second
Basil from The Great Mouse Detective.
I'm gonna go with Shang. I really like Shang.
Even if he throws you into the snow in the middle of a war zone because you're a girl?
I mean, to be fair, that's making the assumption that at some point in the future I wouldn't just assassinate him for trying to leave me for dead. But he does redeem himself.
Okay.
So
all right.
Okay. How about I was just thinking about the last time we did Disney, like you had to pick somebody, and I did the broom from Fantasia. Okay. I'm gonna go with the Ninth Doctor from Doctor Who and Prince Charming from Cinderella.
The Ninth Doctor. I will take Eccleston happily over fucking Prince Charming.
All right. So, of the red flags and the weird shit and everything we've talked about, is there any you find absolutely your number one biggest red flag, and or the one that you, depending on circumstances, you could find acceptable?
Speaking strictly from experience for reality's sake, tragic backstory is a big fucking no.
Okay.
That I would accept for a red flag.
Isn't a deal breaker red flag? How about that? That sounds better.
Okay. I don't know.
Fair
enough.
What?
I will give the alpha hole trope red flag a shot.
Okay.
Because if it comes across the way it does in books, then I'm all for it. Because yes, be protective.
Yeah.
But not domineering.
Yeah,
Let me be my own person with my own hobbies and my friends and whatever, but be protective. Like
yeah.
if we're out somewhere and someone says something rude to me or spills a
Mhm.
drink on me, yes, I want you to take him out back and deck him in the face. I want to see some blood, maybe lose some teeth. Like, it's fine. Like,
I will agree with you in this point because like there's a difference between like the alpha in the way that like Edward Cullen tries to be in like controlling
Edward
and
Cullen
dominant.
is not a fucking alpha.
Like he thinks he is though, and like a lot of people who think they're the alpha behave the way he does, but they don't understand that an alpha is supposed to be protective first. Like his first and main job is to protect. Like that's
Now,
that's the base definition, to protect the pack or whatever.
now Jacob is an alpha.
Jacob also has his own series of red flags, to be honest with you.
He does, but he has
But
proven
like
himself as a decent
a
alpha.
far better version, yeah. So like in fiction, 100% willing to accept like alpha, assuming like it's the real definition of alpha and not like the twisted like Christian Grey, Edward Cullen like alpha version bullshit.
How
Because I
can
think
you? I still can't get over the fact that how can you take someone as bad as Edward and make him worse?
it's a fucking miracle is what that was, because only divine intervention can take the trash at the bottom of the pile and create a basement in which to find worse trash. It's just like, wow. Now, I'm I would be willing to like accept the alpha thing as long as they like actually were demonstrating like real
True
genuine
alpha
alphas,
qualities.
yeah, true alpha qualities and not like the bullshit. But like I would say the acceptable one would be the arranged marriage, because it is acceptable in certain like cultures and certain circles, and the way certain people do it, I find it acceptable as long as both parties are able to agree or like can get out of it if they really want to.
Okay.
Like I will accept that. Like force for like political purposes or whatever, that's bullshit. But like
Even forced for cultural purposes. If it's forced, it's an
yeah,
absolute
yeah.
no.
But like in the way of like voluntarily like getting a matchmaker or getting your
Yeah.
parents to set you up with somebody for like an arranged marriage purposes, or if your parents present you with somebody and you're okay with accepting that, like that's I have no issues with that, that's fine. In all honesty, it'd be the only way I'd get married anymore if like
I
something like
mean,
that.
I am not below saying, sorry, or above whatever the fuck. I totally have my mom's best friend constantly asking around her circle of friends if she knows anyone that will be a match for me.
Yeah,
I find it hilarious, and I'm also just like, also, please don't.
just like, but like at the same time, like if you find that billionaire, you let me know. So,
Like, because my only issue with them asking around is I am legit terrified of my life turning into that scene from My Big Fat Greek Wedding
that's fair.
where
That's
those
fair.
ugly ass dudes come one by one, and I'm like,
Mhm.
no.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
don't care how much money they have. No.
Yeah, that's valid. And like because of the fact that these people who are asking on your behalf don't know your type and what would be a yes or a no for you, not really. You know, so like cuz you're the only one who can really determine that after you meet somebody, and who the hell wants to do that?
Ay.
So like I find the concept of arranged marriages in certain ways acceptable, in other ways not so much. The biggest red flag one to me, oof, I'd probably say in reality would be like, some of these are so weird. I would probably say the biggest red flag one to me would be maybe enemies to lovers, because in reality that's a terrible idea. Like
That
your
would not fly.
former bully in you, like let's even like go subcategory of enemies to lovers and go with like former bully and you. Like no, absolutely not. That is a hard path. Like the Draco Malfoys of the world do not need a chance with the Hermiones.
I
Like
mean, I'm
they don't.
thinking he's not necessarily a bully from my past because all of my bullies were girls. Well, most of them were girls, but the one kid that to this day I cannot stand is the kid that I stabbed in the eye in kindergarten. Never in a million years would I give him a shot.
Yeah, no.
I don't care if all of his friends say, "Oh, but he's different now." I don't care.
Well, I don't care. He could be a completely different person. He could be changed from the foundation up. No, because the past doesn't erase itself.
No, I still have that, not necessarily trauma, but I still have that impression, and like I still have those feelings. So like if I see him, or if he ever comes up to me and tries to be nice to me, which is never gonna happen. I'm just gonna
No.
be like, what the fuck do you want?
Yeah, it's just like, no, this does not get better. This is not, like, leave me alone in every fucking capacity humanly possible. Especially, like, from such a long time period ago. Like, I don't, like, just on a personal level, I don't need anybody that I went to high school with in my life. So, like, nobody who knew me at that phase in my life needs to know me now. So, like, no. Like, no. Any people that I, like, knew, any guys that I knew and stuff like that, like if they tried to be like, "Hey, what's up?" I'd be like, "Block." I'm like, no,
Hey, no.
no, that's a hard pass. Thanks. I'm Facebook friends with some people from like my high
I'm
school.
Facebook
That,
friends with a lot of people from high school, but that's
but there's a reason I
mostly.
don't use Facebook. So like,
I
my,
was very much on Facebook for a while, and now that I've mostly switched to Instagram, I'm barely on Facebook.
yeah, Instagram at least once or twice a week tries to get me to connect my Facebook and my Instagram, and I'm like, no,
No,
I do not need the Facebook people migrating to my Instagram. No, thank you.
that's
So, because
fair.
I leave my profile public because of like people from the podcast will follow me and shit like
Right,
that.
right.
Yeah, my Instagram and my Facebook aren't connected at all, despite the anger in which that incites from Instagram. But I don't want the crossover there.
Zuckerberg can suck it.
Yeah, like I understand that Instagram is now owned by Meta, but like I don't want the Facebook people to come over into my Instagram world.
That's
Very
that's
different,
completely valid.
very different. Also, any jobs in the world that like come look for me, they can find my Facebook and that's fine. But I don't want them to be able to follow the trail into my Instagram.
Yeah.
So like, cause they don't need to do that. Nobody needs to do that. Nobody needs to come see my personal Instagram account. Thanks. So nobody needs to look at that. My
That's fair.
Facebook would be kind of hard to find though. That's not public. So,
Yeah.
but
All right. On that note,
there's a lot of red flags out there. Just live your life. You come across a red flag, then just accept the fact that it's over and you can't live with it and you can't deal with it.
make
And
good choices.
don't assume
Make
people are going to change. They won't. They showed you who they were the first time.
You
Accept it.
cannot fix him. You should not fix him. Them, whatever. Just
Don't waste your
you do
time.
not want potential. You want ready made. Ready set
Also,
go.
also, just as a general life relationship tip, if you get into a relationship because you think you can change him, because you think you can fix him or her or they, if you think you can fix that person, change them, or better them, or whatever, you are doing both yourself and that person a disservice.
And
One,
everyone you know.
because you will be wasting your time on someone who's not going to change. And two, you are telling this person that they are not good enough for you as they are and you don't like them as they are. So both of you are wasting your time and your energy, and you're both going to be unhappy in the end of it. And
Mhm.
that's just all there is to it. Don't try to change somebody. Take them for who they are. You don't like what you see when you first meet them. You need to
That's
find
it.
somebody else. That's it. Find somebody else. That's all there is to it. Don't, and also have standards
Yeah.
and actually actively like make people live up to them. And if they don't, move on with your life.
You'll find someone else. Make good choices. Make sound choices. Do your research.
And until then, just live your life. Have fun. You don't need relationships to, like, you don't need romantic relationships to have a good life. Just go do things. Go do what you want. Live how you want. Be what you want. Eventually, like, somebody's
The
going to
right
find you.
person will come along. They'll find
Yeah.
you.
And guess what? If you find that person while you're doing things that you enjoy, you're more likely to have
Even
something in
fucking
common with them.
better.
You're more likely to have something in common with them, guys. So just have fun. Be happy. Don't do stupid shit. Don't date the Edward Collins of the world. For the love of God, if you ever meet a Christian Grey, run.
Run.
Maybe call the police. Maybe
Definitely
just
call
call
the
the
police.
police.
Change your name, change your social security number, change countries, get out.
Yeah, just don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. That is the terrible combination of like a mafia drama with Twilight. So don't do that to yourselves. Yeah. So make informed, intelligent choices,
There you go.
or just don't make a choice. And there you go. So like, if you can't make an informed, intelligent choice, don't make any choices. So
Agree to nothing.
yes, agree to nothing, do nothing, don't date, live your life, become a witch in the woods somewhere.
And it's my Twilight years goal is to be a witch in the forest with a cottage.
There you go. That's a good plan. Why wait? Let's go do that now. Fuck it.
Ah.
Go be in the witch in the woods. We'll go to Forks and not come back.
Fork?
Just go be a witch in the woods. Forks don't need vampires. It's got witches now.
Just everyone that wants to go to visit Forks for the Twilight stuff will be like, no, the place is haunted now.
It's like, we have a coven of witches who live here now.
Yeah, sorry, Forks, your Twilight income is now shot.
And your witch coven era has begun. So there
It's the
you
Salem
go.
of the West.
God, they'd call it the Salem of the West. Oh no. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. I hope this episode was both entertaining and possibly informative. And yeah. Thanks for sticking around, guys.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye. Tune in next week for more fuckery because we have some serious questions and concerns. Bella, Bella, Bella.